Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I think something is happening.
I defend my family. I think I do a pretty good job of defending my family.
Yeah, my sister, bless her heart, she's as loyal as the day is long.
From the bloodline of the boss, the legacy's thick. Angel Gotti in the game, yeah, she moved like a brick. Daughter of the Don, heart pure, never phony. Build her own lane, got respect like a trophy. Loyal to the bone, she don't switch, never fold. Truth in her tone, everywhere she say bold. Protecting the name with the fire in her chest. My father on her lips, she don't settle for less. From with Angel Gotti, light it up like fire. Mob to queen, take the hate up higher. Strong, sharp, real with a touch of grace. You feel the Gotti blood when she step into place. Loyalty runs deep, she ain't never alone. She got street sense and pride in her tone. Say what she feel, always bold, never sorry. Bow to the queen, we talking Angel Gotti. We talking Angel Gotti. A mother, a grandma with backbone and grit. She been through the storm but ain't never quit. She wear that last name like a crown on her head and stand for respect, not the gossip that spread. Got love from the real ones, the fans that ride. Cause angels speak facts, she ain't gotta pick sides. She got stories to tell with a heart full of fight. Built from the fire, now she shining in the light. She don't need no crown, her name say it all. Standing 10 toes down, never scared to brawl. Legacy deep, yeah, the roots from wide. Gotti in the blood with that fire and stride. Not just a name, it's the life she defend. You can love her or hate her, but she don't pretend. Well, I've seen Gotti light it up like fire. Mob to queen, take the hate up higher. Strong, sharp, real with a touch of grace. You feel the Gotti blood when she step into place. Loyalty runs deep, she ain't never alone. She got street sense and pride in her tone. Say what she feel, always bold, never sorry. Bow to the queen, we talking Angel Gotti.
Hello, everyone. Can you let us know? Hello. Can you let us know that you can hear us? Let's see. Let them just tell me. Let me know if you could hear us. Yes. Okay. Hi there, Dr. Jim. Hello there, Tony Silo.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
What's up, Dr. Jim? How are you?
I'm doing really good, Tony. You know that song really pumps me. I mean, I'm ready to go, baby. That song really pumps me up. Angel's intro song is so darn good. And I want to thank Angel, and I want to thank you too, Tony, for inviting me back on Angel's show. And I want to say that I was thinking right before the show here. You know what would make a person want to come in and see Angel's show or any TV show, right? What are they looking for? And I believe that people want one of three things or all three things. And I know I do. I want to be entertained. I want to be inspired, and I want to be informed. And the good part about this format, the way Angel and the way Tony formats it as well, is you get all three. This isn't just I got a little bit of entertainment. I got a little bit of inspiration. You get all three. You never really know what's going to happen. The panel, each show, the panel changes. Someone might pop up from who knows where to make a big impact on the show. Case in point being for the beautiful viewers here. And I want to say that I appreciate all the viewers. A couple of Fridays ago, a woman named Rose came on and told her powerful story. And she was real. And it was powerful. And I think I appreciated it. And I think the audience did too, because another thing I want to mention is the guests that Tony and Angel book here, right? People like myself or anyone that comes on are real people. They're not phonies. They're not quasi celebrities or whatever. They're real people. So what you get on here is real stuff from real people. So I appreciate that too. So that's my sort of intro for tonight. But our topic is going to be narcissistic people, right? And there's a lot to be said about that, right? So we probably all have a general sense of what a narcissist is, right? And let me just say that a narcissist, some of the key qualities, I guess you could say, of a narcissist are inflated self-importance. Now we all might have somebody in our lives that has this sense of, I'm really important. I'm more important than anybody in this room, right? That person could be a narcissist. How about a need for admiration? Now, we all love to be admired, right? I know I do. Hey, Jim, I admire you. I say, hey, it makes me feel good. But the narcissist constantly needs admiration from everyone around him. And it's like anything else in life. Anything in moderation is usually okay. When anything becomes excessive, it's usually a problem, right? They believe they are special or unique and therefore deserve special consideration that the normal people don't really get. They have a sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment. This goes up and above anything that you could probably even imagine. You know, for example, if they go to a restaurant and the restaurant is full, they don't want to wait. Like, you'll have to, bring me a table right away. Something like that, right? So they have this sense of entitlement. I deserve to be treated like a king. Exploitative. They use people as pawns and will exploit people to get to the means of any ends they want. And so they'll use you to get what they desire, right? And and here's probably the essential feature. They have little to no empathy. They cannot put themselves in the shoes of another person. They can't appreciate the way another person feels. So when you put all of this together, you got a person who is probably going to cause a lot of problems in whatever relationship or family dynamic he or she is a part of. They're often jealous of other people and believe that everyone else is jealous of them. In other words, wants what they have, right? They show arrogant behaviors, very haughty, arrogant behaviors. Now, I'm sure that all the viewers out there, you've had or have someone like that in your life, whether it be a family member. Hopefully not you were in a relationship with a narcissist. I mean, that could be very, very stressful and very, very bad, right? So please, I wanted to mention to Angel and Tony, if any of your viewers have any questions for me or comments, please feel free to stop me at any time and I'd be happy to address them. So how does somebody become a narcissist? Do they just wake up in the morning and say, I think I'm a narcissist? That's probably never going to happen. There's some different reasons why a person could be a narcissist. For example, there's biological reasons. You could have some genetic predisposition handed down from your parents where you have a vulnerability, right, to be a narcissist. In other words, the areas of your brain responsible for understanding others, appreciating others' feelings, don't light up so well. So you don't have that type of empathy that a normal people might feel for other people, right? So it just doesn't light up in their brain. You may have some abnormalities in the brain in these regions that are associated with empathy, right? For sure, because that's the essential feature here. Not being able to put themselves in other people's places. What else did I want to mention here? Oh, there's also some environmental factors that can contribute to this. And that would be parents that give the kids excessive praise. You're the best. There's nobody in your school like you. Boy, when you get older, the woman that gets you is going to count her lucky stars. There's no one better than you on this planet. This can really feed a person's ego, right? Where they come to believe that no one's better than me. I'm the best, right? I deserve the best treatment. So it's excessive praise from parents. Now, do we want parents? Yes.
Is there a problem with excessive praise from parents?
Yeah. If it's excessive praise, for example, without explanation. You're the best. You're the smartest. No one can come close to you. It's just constantly being poured on them, excessive, right? Too much. Now, you make a good point, Angel, because do we want parents to reinforce their kids? Absolutely. Absolutely. For example, I remember when I was a kid, my dad said to me, Jim, did you get a good grade on your spelling test? And I said, yeah, Dad, I got an A. And I'll never forget it. I think I was like in the third grade or something. And he said, Jim, I knew you would because you're so smart. And I'm so proud you're my son. And that made me feel so good, right? But that was the extent of it. It wasn't like every day, every moment, whatever situation I was in, you're the best, and so on and so forth. Because it makes it very hard for that child to live up to these expectations once they become a little older. All right. Now, also, it could go the other way where it could be cold parenting, emotionless parenting, neglectful parenting. So it could be one polar or the other. It could be excessive praise, no praise, nothing but criticism, right? And very, very cold and non-emotional parents. So parenting styles have a lot to do with it. Also, there's some research that connects narcissism with childhood trauma, right? Bad things that happened to them when they were a kid, like neglect or some sort of abuse. The parents give conditional love. I'll only love you if you do this, if you make me happy when you're doing that, if you sort of follow my direction. I'll only love you if you please me. So now let me state this. Even if all these things happen, it's still not 100% the kid is going to be a narcissist, because a lot of kids have a really good resilience and they have friends and other family members they can rely on and so on. So it doesn't mean they're going to be a narcissist, but these are all the conditions that with the perfect storm, the person becomes a narcissist. So, for example, let me tell you how a narcissist can do some damage. In today's world, right, a lot of people don't like the bar scene. Jim, I don't drink. I don't like going to the bars. I don't want to meet anyone at the bars. So what do? They go on dating sites, which is perfectly good, right? Dating sites are great, I think. So they meet somebody. And this person says to me, Jim, met this guy. He checks all the boxes. He's so attentive. He's so complimentary. He's so charismatic. I just love this guy. We've only known each other for a week and we're moving in together. We're going to get an apartment. I'm thinking to myself, oh no. Oh no, please. Well, once they move in together, the narcissist will show their real true self. The compliments and all the attention. Now the compliments become backhanded compliments. If you get my drift, what I'm saying is, how about this? The backhanded compliment would be something like, you look pretty good in that dress for a girl with your body type. Something like that. You're not as smart as you look. And things of that nature. So they're backhanded compliments. Let me see if I have anything. Yeah. So it's in other words, they build you up with the compliment, but then they let you down at the same time with the compliment, right? So, and they start tearing the person down emotionally throughout the relationship. They build them up, tear them down, criticize them, right? Become emotionally cold to the person, use the person for what they want to accomplish. So this is a real problem. But remember, the narcissist can be very charming when you first meet them. So that's why the first time you the narcissist meets someone, let's say, for example, on a dating site, they give a great first impression, but that first impression doesn't last very long. And once you get into that relationship, you're almost trapped, because they use something called gaslighting. And you've probably heard of that term, but not a lot of people are familiar with that.
Explain what gaslighting is.
Gaslighting is telling a person, for example, you're the problem in a relationship, not me. You're the crazy one, not me. Things are going wrong because of you. And so they make these assertions and keep repeating them, or they'll say something like, for example, the woman might say, well, you said this and you said that. I never said that. You're really crazy. I've never said it. I don't know where you're coming up with this. Now, here's the thing. If someone, and you're in a relationship with someone like that, and they constantly tell you this and bombard you with this every day, you come around and you say to yourself, is it me? Maybe it's me. Maybe I am the crazy one, but they're not. But this is the type of damage that a narcissist will do. They'll tear you down emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you break free from this? And we're going to get into some other things too about narcissists, but how would a person break free from this? Well, you've got to learn how to stand your ground and say no. You've got to learn that through maybe therapy or support groups, that you're not the crazy one. You're okay. You're just in a bad relationship, right? You're in an abusive relationship. Another thing you can do is you can pick something that's very difficult to do and accomplish it. And that will help rebuild your self-esteem. For example, you could say, Jim, I've always wanted to run a marathon. And now I'm going to train for a marathon. And in 6 months, I want to run a 5-mile marathon. Jim, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I'm going back to school to be a nurse, and I'm going to finish that degree, and I'm going to be a nurse. So these are the ways you can sort of rebuild your self-esteem and get out of this crazy relationship. Because with a narcissist, it's just never a good thing.
And
what about? Good.
Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
What if you run into a group of narcissists? Let's say you got 5 girls, okay, and one of the girls finds a guy to go out with, and they're in college. These 4 girls want that girl to stick with that group. So maybe they all come up with a plan, and they become narcissists and trying to break these 2 up, even though this guy isn't doing nothing or this girl isn't doing nothing. What do you classify that as? Well,
let me say this. All the list of qualities I gave you for a narcissist, right? That's really what would be if a person met all those qualities, or say 6 of these 7 qualities, they would qualify for a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. However, many people who don't qualify for a full diagnosis might have or do have narcissistic tendencies. In other words, they may match up with 3 of the symptoms. Now, you can't make a formal diagnosis with that, but they may have these narcissistic qualities, right? So they're on the narcissistic side. They could be problem people, like you're saying. They're jealous. They wish they had what you had, and they believe that you're also jealous of them. They have no feelings for your emotional well-being, and so on and so forth. So these people could be friends, but have narcissistic qualities, and their advice is misguided.
I see.
Dr. Jim, some people question if you're a real doctor or not. Do you want to answer them?
Yes, I'm a doctor of philosophy. I don't prescribe, but I have worked in hospitals, Rushford Mental Hospital in Meriden, Connecticut for so many years, and clinics like Family Intervention Center in Waterbury, Connecticut, and other hospitals and places. A psychologist is what I am.
You're a psychologist,
yeah.
Right? So that's a doctor. That's a real doctor.
Yeah, the way it goes, for example, you would get a bachelor's degree in psychology, then you would get a master's degree in psychology, then you would go on for a doctorate in psychology, which requires some research. I had to conduct research and conduct an experiment. And so I did that. It took me about 6 years of training in my doctoral program. But let me say this: I started going to school at the age of 40. Never was in college, and I went from 40 years old to 56. So I went with no degree at 40, and I graduated at 56 with a PhD in psychology, in general psychology. And that's where I am today. And right now I'm semi-retired. Right now I teach people how to be therapists, and I teach students who want to be ABA technicians. In other words, they want to work with kids on the spectrum, help kids with autism. So I'm with Purdue University right now doing that. And I'm also with Western Connecticut State University teaching introductory psychology right now. So that's what I'm doing now, as well as appearing on your podcast, which I love. So I'm a doctor of philosophy. I'm not a medical doctor. If you go to your psychiatrist is a medical doctor who practices psychology, right? They're usually trained in Freudian terms. For example, their method of treating mental illness would be psychoanalysis, right? Things of that nature. So they have usually 2 or 3 years training in psychology. Psychological perspectives. But a person like me, we have much more training in all areas of psychology. We're really, really psychology focused, only we're not much on the medications. We're more like with holistic treatments.
Let me ask you a question. If you go to most of these hospitals, now I'm just saying I was reading to study up for the show, and it's a mental health clinic. Most of the time, the patients see the psychologist and only see the psychiatrist once a month for meds and stuff like that. So the psychologists are used actually more than the psychiatrist.
Yeah, that's basically the way it works. For example, you would see a psychologist, a person like me, once a week, and then you'd see a psychiatrist maybe once a month or once every 2 months for medication management. And basically, the psychiatrists really don't want to do much therapy. They're really there just to write prescriptions. They will do a little bit, but if you brought up a problem to them, they might just say, "Hey, look, take that up with Jim. I'm just here to sort of to manage your medication. Are you having any side effects from this prescription we're giving you? Are you having any bad reactions, or are you allergic to anything you're taking that we're giving you?" And okay, well, let's continue that. The patient may say, "Well, I'm getting bad headaches taking Prozac. Okay, let's change that to something else." So they're there really for medication management. So that's the big difference. Psychologists and social workers out in the field do most of the mental health clinical work.
And what is you had said you talked about toxic dynamics. What is that?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying within a relationship with a narcissist, there's going to be a power differences. You're going to be way down, and the narcissist is going to be way above you. You're going to think that you're crazy, right? You're going to eventually believe the narcissist because it must be me. It must be me. So these are the power dynamics within that relationship that hurt a lot of people and really set back a lot of people. So you've got to free yourself of that, right? Like we said, you can do that through therapy, through peer groups, other people dealing with the same types of issues with narcissists, finding something difficult and completing it, going back to school, whatever it might be for you, to regain your self-esteem. Because remember, the narcissist within a relationship is going to tear you down, build you up, tear you down, and so on. So that's the toxic dynamic there, right? It's you're never going to be above the narcissist or equal with the narcissist. You're always going to be in a lower position. Okay. And that's not a good it's not a good way to have a relationship. That's a toxic relationship, right? You don't want that.
Yeah, right. And you're not just talking about like a man and a woman. Are you talking about friendships also? People that are just friends, superficial friends and stuff like that?
Well, you could be superficial friends with a narcissist. I'm talking about if you're in a relationship with a narcissist.
If you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
What happens if you're just not in a relationship, but you have some friends like that?
They might be a little abrasive and a little opinionated, a little annoying, but you could be friends with them.
Mhm.
Let me just talk about treatment though. So sometimes people say to me, well, Jim, if you have depression, you can get treatment, right? Of course. If you have anxiety, panic attacks, you can get treatment for that, right? Yeah. What's the treatment for a narcissist? Well, let me tell you, there really is none. They are what's called refractive from treatment. In other words, treatment doesn't work. They have these ingrained, hardwired personality things, right? Where they're low empathy or no empathy, right? And jealousy and feelings of superiority and all these kinds of, there's no medication that can address that. So usually, if the narcissist is in any kind of treatment, they're there because they're mandated by the law, they got into some legal trouble, or they're there regarding some breakup, some relationship breakup. But generally, they will just tell the therapist or the counselor what they think they want to hear. Because they get very guarded, because in therapy, we're looking at self-reflection, right? The narcissist does not want self-reflection. So they'll become very defensive in a therapeutic situation. So there really is no treatment, unfortunately. So any kind of personality disorder, not just narcissistic personality disorder. Let's just talk about antisocial personality disorder, right? Or a sociopath, right? There's very little difference between a person who's a narcissist and a person who has a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. The main difference is.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The main difference is a person with antisocial personality disorder has is much more likely to use severe physical violence and constantly violate the rights of others. That's other than that, the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder are very similar, and the prisons are filled with these people. They think they're smarter than everybody. They think they're better than everybody. They think they can outsmart the law. The law will never catch up with me. I'm going to plan this robbery or whatever. They'll never catch me. Police are stupid. That type of thinking. So a narcissist isn't quite as dangerous as a person with antisocial personality disorder, but they can break you down emotionally.
How about if you classify somebody as a narcissist and it comes from you and you send it over to the psychiatrist and you just work on the meds from there? I would say, what if?
Yeah, there is no medication. There's no medication. The only form of treatment would be some type of therapy, talk therapy. But once again, they will come to therapy if they're mandated, but they'll tell you what you want to hear, and they're really not interested in changing it all because they don't think there's anything wrong with them. They think there's something wrong with you. So it doesn't really work out. I'll give you an example. So I'm a young intern working at Family Intervention Center, and I have a person I'm working with who I believe has a personality disorder. In the meantime, I go to meet one of the most premier psychologists of all time. His name is Dr. Albert Ellis, and I met him in Boston. He was giving a symposium, and he was about 85 years old at the time. And I said, Dr. Ellis, I'm dealing with a person with a personality disorder, and I don't know how to get through with him. I'm not making any headway. And he said, Jim, if he has a real personality disorder, a true personality disorder, I don't think I could get through to him either. That's just the way it is. They're like I said, they're refractive from treatment. Treatment doesn't work for them. So the best thing to do is, if you're involved with a narcissist or you're in a relationship with a narcissist, the best thing to do is run away as fast as you can. Run away as fast as you can. There's no changing them, and they're never going to stop gaslighting you and tearing you down. It's not. That's just the way it is.
Okay, so if you've worked with a narcissist, you've classified.
Excuse me 1 minute.
Yeah.
I don't do drugs. I'm not stoned, so go F yourselves. Thank you. Carry on.
Okay, and that's a stupid comment whoever made that anyway, so that's why you were thrown out of here. Now, you classify somebody as a narcissist, right, Dr. Jim?
Yeah.
And you try and work with the person through therapy. If you're getting absolutely nowhere, what would be the next step for this person then?
We would discharge him from therapy and tell him, listen, this is going nowhere. You're not involved in it. You're really not taking this seriously. There's really not a lot. There's really no evidence-based treatment.
Yeah.
There isn't.
Okay, so So if you have somebody who's a narcissist but is also deemed bipolar, and one personality is a narcissist, the other personality is not, where do you go from there?
Well, that's a good point, Tony. Now, I have worked with a few narcissists who were on medication, but only because they were either had some bad anxiety to go with the personality disorder, or they had some mood disorder, like you're saying, to go with the narcissistic personality, right? So the medication would help treat that mood disorder or that anxiety disorder, but didn't help anything for the narcissistic disorder, right? So yeah, that would be two separate things together, two separate things that you'd be working on at the same time. And that's the way it would work. So we would try to help them with their depression or anxiety, but we're usually pretty unsuccessful with the personality style.
So we had someone come on the show a week or two ago, right? And this is off that topic. This is on another topic that we had discussed with you before. This person said that they were free from drugs, but they were clean and sober, I think he said. Tony, what did he say? He doesn't do drugs anymore, but yet he takes Xanax 3 times a day.
What does he take?
Xanax 3 times
Xanax.
a day.
And Valium.
Oh, well,
was it Valium? Yeah, I keep forgetting about Valium. Valium 3 times a day.
Xanax and Valium?
No. I'm mistaking.
Hold on, I know what you're talking about. The gentleman took Adderall and Valium.
Adderall and Valium.
All right, so Adderall is a stimulant and Valium is a depressant, right? Valium is a benzodiazepine, right? It's an anti-anxiety medication, and Adderall is widely prescribed for people who have attention deficit disorder, something like that, right? But if he's taking Valium or if he's taking some kind of benzodiazepine, he's not clean, because those are highly addictive drugs, and you just can't stop taking them. So it's like this, Jim. You know, I have bad anxiety, but now that I'm taking Xanax and Klonopin 3 times a day, my anxiety is not quite as bad. But now you're addicted to the benzodiazepines. So you know, it's like you're not clean. I would have people coming to me with a list of 8 or 10 medications. Say, Jim, I'm so happy I'm here. I've been sober now for 3 years, and I'm really doing well, and I want to have get some good therapy and so on and so forth. And I look at the medication. I say, well, why are you taking Percocets? Oh, that's for my back. Well, why are you taking Xanax? Okay. My anxiety. You're not clean. You're not sober. You're not. This is not being clean and sober.
All right, we'd had this. We the 3 of us discussed it last week, but somebody named Law Drops is asking in the chat here, if they are prescribed drugs, is it wrong? If you're trying to stay clean, sober, and completely clean, yeah, it's wrong, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, we have to remember one thing though, Tony. Half of the world right now is probably on Klonopin and Xanax, because that's just the way it is. I mean, it's people. They're widely prescribed.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. What is Klonopin? That's like a Valium.
It's the same family. It's a benzodiazepine. It's an anti-anxiety type of, calm you down type of thing. Usually taken multiple times during the day. Xanax would be a more powerful anti-anxiety drug, but they're highly addictive. They do help you with the anxiety, but they're highly addictive. I'd rather see somebody, go the more natural way and try to sort of reduce their anxiety through therapy and diet and exercise and a change of attitude and a change of lifestyle. Would help a whole lot more. It's because you're not, if you're telling me you're taking Percocet because you got a bad back and you're taking, all these benzodiazepines and you're taking these opiates, you're not clean and sober. I mean,
well, a lot of people are saying, and reading in the chat, and we've in the last chat, this chat tonight, a lot of people are saying it's like hell coming off of Xanax.
That's right. It is, and because they're highly addictive, and you really, to come off them yourself, you really should be monitored. The deadliest withdrawal really is alcohol, Oh, we're not even talking about that, but coming off these benzodiazepines and opiates, and it's very dangerous. It's it's not a good thing.
All right, so we have a quote comment here. If you have ADD and take Adderall, that means you aren't clean. Sorry, trying to.
No, well, I'm going to back that up. I think that there are certain medications that are okay for what they do. For example, kids who are bouncing off the walls and can't wait their turn and all this kind of stuff because they have a diagnosis of, say, ADD, right? Mm-hmm. This Adderall is a stimulant. And why would you give a kid who's bouncing off the walls a stimulant? Well, it's called a paradoxical effect. It seems to help them focus better, right? And that's what happens. And the kids report that they can focus better and their behavior changes for the better. So I'd have to say that I would probably be in favor of that. There are exceptions for every rule, and that's something I would probably be in favor of or for.
Really?
Yeah. Now, someone said if someone was coming off some traumatic event and said, "Hey, Jim, I haven't slept in 3 nights. I'm losing my mind. I can't take it." I would say let's get that person a sleeping aid, right? Which would be something that's going to calm you down and put you to sleep, right? But we want not for the rest of your life. Maybe for the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, get you back, right? Help you get over the hump of this traumatic event, but then end it. But some people are on these sleeping aids for the rest of their lives. They're on these benzodiazepines and for the rest of their lives. And people on methadone. I don't know if you guys know this. That's a lifelong program. People go to methadone. It's like forever. There's no you would think they would take methadone for 6 months and get weaned off it, and they're okay now. No, they're on it for the rest of their lives.
Well, why is that? Can't they lower their dosage?
They do adjust the doses depending, but it's just something. Look, I mean, the methadone clinic gives jobs to people who work in the methadone clinic, people who make the methadone, therapists, counselors, judges, lawyers. Police, everybody's invested in all of this stuff, right? So it supports a lot. The methadone program supports more than just the addicts. It supports all the people that are giving them treatment, that are supporting them. So it's a hard cycle to break. I first walked into a methadone program, right? And I said, okay. They asked me to do some IOPs, intensive outpatient therapy, and I thought I was pretty familiar with things. And I said, Mrs. Jones, how long have you been on the program? 12 years. Oh, Mr. Smith, how long have you been on the program? Oh, 20 years. What? But that's what you'll find.
So they're putting patients on the methadone and they're not weaning them off of it?
Generally,
but I got a great example here. All right. Chris is in the chat. He's open about it. He's a good friend of mine. We talk about it in private. I'm not going to go into those conversations. But now Chris was on it for more than 15 years, closer to 20 years, opiates, okay? Now Chris wrote in the chat tonight, I'm in methadone maintenance. I don't care about the clean word. It helps me live a normal life. It should only be the last resort. Now he takes it and it's helping him live a normal life. So
I'm okay.
He's not worried about hearing the word clean. He knows
no, I'm okay with that because what methadone does is it occupies these receptors in your brain that normally would be reserved for heroin. So if a person takes this methadone and they take heroin, they're not going to get an effect. The reason why people get weaned off the program sometimes really quickly, like in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks, is because they get caught, say, for example, using crack cocaine, or they come in drunk. And I'm not saying all people do that, but that's how they would get, they would get weaned off and sort of kicked off the program because they're using other drugs or they're using alcohol. But I'm okay with, what's the whole thing behind methadone was people who have heroin addictions it costs a lot of money to keep their habits up, right? And many of the people that I spoke to over the years had habits of between $200 and $400 a day, heroin, right? Now, these people can't work because they're taking heroin, right? So how do you get the money? Well, they boost, meaning stealing in the stores. They do B&Es. They carjackings. They hit people over the head and take their money, right? They'll do anything to get their money for the drug. Okay. So now let's give them a synthetic form of that drug, methadone, right? So they won't have withdrawal symptoms, and let's keep society safer. Let's monitor them. Let's have them come in every week for a group setting. Let's have them report and do drug screenings and so on and so forth. Let's monitor them and let's keep them on the program. And the community is going to be safer. And we don't have to worry so much about people breaking into our house late at night to rob us.
So when you're taking heroin, what, you're shooting it up a few times a day or just once a day?
Well, they shoot it, they snort it.
Come on.
But normally, they're shooting it up several times a day. They're shooting it up several times a day, or they snort it, or both. Heroin, anyway. It's a tough way to go. And so what they do is they say, listen, we can protect the person. I'm all for the methadone program, getting people better, right? And we can protect society. But I just never knew. I was just shocked when I went there. I thought it was, okay, you come into the program, we give you the methadone so you won't have the withdrawal symptoms, and then we kind of let you go after so long, and you're back sober and you continue with your life. But that's not the way it works. And who am I to say anything else? But as long as it keeps the people sober and they're not using, and they're not doing anything bad, I'm all for it.
Okay, but I'm sorry, we were interrupted. Let me shut this off, as a matter of fact. So when they're doing heroin, they're shooting up, or they're sniffing it, or whatever it is that they're doing, right?
Yes, yeah.
Do it throughout the day, like many times a day? Okay. So with Suboxone, what is that? Just one dosage, and that's supposed to last throughout the day? You can function and go to work?
Suboxone. Yeah, it's widely prescribed, and the addicts that I've talked to over the years.
And I'm sorry, I'm in methadone.
Oh, methadone. Well, Suboxone is another one.
Is it the same thing? Is methadone and Suboxone the same thing?
Well, Suboxone is something that you kind of put under your tongue, and the addicts that I worked with when I worked at the mental hospital in Meriden, I was doing IOPs, there, intensive outpatient treatment with people who are addicted. They all really like the Suboxone better than anything else, because there's something you put under your tongue and it kind of dissolves, and it takes away the you being sick and all that kind of stuff. So it's very similar to the
And that lasts the whole day?
I think so. I'm not quite sure on that, but I know they like it. I think it's only 1 or 2 doses a day.
I've seen where they've had them on three half strips a day to full strips a day. It depends on how bad it was as well. You can take somebody in who's relatively new to drugs, and then you could take somebody who's relatively 16, 17 years into drugs. So you have to treat it different. You also have to detox the person differently. Some people are so hooked, it takes them 2 to 3 weeks just to get out of detox, where other people could be out of detox in 7, 8 days sometimes, maybe, if they're lucky.
Do you know, Tony and Angel, that if you went to a treatment center, like a methadone center or any kind of treatment center, and said, look, I want to turn myself in, I want to get clean, I know I'm going to have withdrawal symptoms and all this kind of stuff, but because I want to get better, I haven't used in the past week, and I'm really feeling out of sorts, and I want to get on the program. They won't take it. You have to be actively using to get into a program. So if you say, hey, I'm boy for the past 2 weeks, I haven't used any drugs, but I really want to get into treatment. You have to be actively using. So the addicts would like that and say, hey, Jim, I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to get effing blasted. I said, what do you mean? I'm going to smoke dope. I'm going to snort some good stuff. I'm going to drink, because I know that when I go turn myself into more, they're going to take me. And this is the last time I'm going to be able to do it for a while. So they would love to get blasted before they go in. You have to be actively using.
Well, because if you're not using, all right, if you go to Suboxone, we took my son to a Suboxone doctor, a psychiatrist actually. He was clean for 3 days the first time. He was able to start it. The second time when we went, he wasn't clean yet. He just stopped, I guess, the night before, maybe even that morning. You cannot take it. They want you to wait, I believe, 48 hours before they can put you on it. So you're really going to suffer for 2 days. Yeah,
it's a tough way to go. I know, Tony. I know. I've seen it as well. It's not good, And so addiction is a tough thing. It's very complex. There's a lot of different reasons why, and so on. But it's people. People are all different, and everybody responds to things differently. Everybody doesn't have the same coping skills. Everybody doesn't have the same backgrounds, and so on and so forth. So it's like.
So now let me ask you a question. Are you in private or, group hospital practice?
I used to be. I'm not anymore. I'm just teaching right now. I'm 72 years old, so I'm basically retired.
No, it's a great thing you're doing, teaching. But let me hit you with this one. A lot of people cannot afford treatment. Okay, treatment can get very, very costly, and public treatments, they're booked worse than you can't get in there for 6-7 months. There's poor people on the street. Talk to people on the street. Not for nothing. Why don't you get yourself into a rehab or a treatment center? Are you kidding me, man? That's what their answer is. You can't get in down here in Florida.
That's very true. That's why. That's very true.
How do they afford the drugs that they spend money on?
You can do multiple things out there, Angel, for drugs, and some of them are. Look, I watch this channel, all right, and there's some beautiful young ladies, and you could tell they were beautiful. Within 2-3 years out on the streets doing drugs and everything else. And this one girl broke my heart. Sex trafficking, prostitution, robberies, anything they have to get the money. Anything. And you can't do that and you can't do that to get into a rehab.
That's very true.
You name it, they'll do it.
And that's why I'm in favor of the methadone program, because these people that would do anything like, making crimes and breaking into your house and carjacking, at least when they're on the methadone program, they're not going to be going crazy like that, right? They're not going to be worried about being sick. So that brings down the crime.
Okay. And is the methadone program, the government pays for that?
In most cases, insurance
the city, the state, whatever, they pay for it. You get that for free. If you don't have insurance, say
there's different ways.
There's different ways to do it, but you could get it done. Now, methadone, you have to drink it right in front of them at first, right?
Yes.
Then if you become trusted, they'll let you take it home, so you don't have to come down there every morning or whatever it might be. So there is some kind of a.
What do you take it home in? What do you mean?
Well, it's in like little bottles like that, and in other words, instead of coming in there every day to get your methadone, after a while they'll give it to you to take home, and and they test you. Give you UIs, urine analysis, UAs, urine analysis, and if your urine is good, showing that you're not using anything else and you're maintaining your sobriety, right? They'll give it to you to take home, so it won't be such of a burden for you to get down there at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. And you're not doing this anymore, you said?
No. I had 3 careers. This is my last career now. I started in 1999. I finished up in 2019 or 20. And like I say, I'm just teaching now, I'm very teaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very good with that. And as a matter of fact, hello to my students. I know a lot of my students are watching tonight, so I'm very happy about that. And a lot of my colleagues are watching, like Dr. Augie, who's the Reiki master and acupuncture. Reiki master.
Oh, really?
Healing through energy.
Yes, I know. They have the different colored stones and rocks and all that stuff. Right.
And my shoulders were so bad. Augie did acupuncture on me for about a year. Took my pain level from a 7 to about a 3, where it is now, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So
and that's from acupuncture.
Acupuncture, and Augie was originally my student, and he
really
went out to become a doctor and all that kind of stuff. Augie's great. And my cousin Dr. Charles Ponte, 40 years at the University of West Virginia, just retired, professor emeritus. Pharmacy. He's what they call him, the walking PDR. He knows everything about every medication, and he's he's trained a lot of pharmacists and physicians. I have a good friend, Ed Leo Pizzo, who runs the gym that I work out. He's watching tonight too. Powerflex Fitness.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
I've got my good friend Paul Sagnella of 50 years. He's watching tonight for the first time.
And I don't see Jason. I don't see your friend Jason here.
Oh, Jason's not around. He's probably out doing the Uber or whatever.
I don't see Jason.
So let me ask you something, Dr. Jim. Now you know, and I know most of them that do opiates in the street do pills, oxycodone, et cetera, et cetera. Then when they come off of it, their body aches like a son of a bitch. I mean, they got aches, pains, twitches.
Yeah.
So there's a lady in East Meadow, New York, okay, and she opened up a Reiki studio for recovery to try and stretch the body and all that. And she works with a local psychiatrist who gives the Suboxone or the methadone at the clinic. And these patients come in there, and what she's doing, because she can't be covered, they're not going to cover her. But the pains on some of these people, you know, because they never felt pain for 5-10 years as long as they took it. So now anything in their body that hurts double because, you know, you really didn't do nothing when you were a drug addict. You understand what I'm saying? You were pretty much. So now what she's doing is she donates her time and she does Reiki with the people in the methadone clinic and the people who are on the Suboxone, which I think is wild.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's all, you know, healing through energy, and that's what Dr. Augie healing through energy and acupuncture. You know, very, very, it helped me. Acupuncture helped me a lot, a real lot. Augie helped me a lot.
Really?
Jason is here.
Pat Gutierrez. I'm here, Professor. Do you know who that is? Gutti.
Oh yes, Pat. She's a very good student. Yes, she is from Purdue University.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for tuning in.
Okay. We have 1,061 comments. 1,061. So I am going to be so far behind in the comments because I'm paying attention to Dr. Jim. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all your comments.
Yeah. Okay. I love your audience. Your audience is very, very, I would say hip. I mean, educated. They have some really great questions and comments, and they know what they're talking about, and they love this show just like I do as well. But
thank you.
I want to say that.
Yeah, Jason is here.
Oh, he's there. Okay, hello, Jason.
All right, so we have this lady Tessie, and Tessie, you've been writing such good comments, but every time I'm about to get to it, it skips like 20 up because we're moving so fast. But she just wrote now, drug addiction is something that can be discussed nonstop for days on end and still not have the answers because there's too many things that can or cannot play a role, and no two people are the same.
Agreed.
That's it, right?
Too many variables, right? And no two people are the same. Yeah, I mean, it's true. And some people I've had people make great recoveries and go on to do great things. I really have. And I've had other people that just, you know, they were taking their benzodiazepines like Xanax and so on. They went home, they drank some vodka, and that was it. You know, the vodka is a CNS, depresses the CNS, right? And then the drugs, same thing. So all of a sudden you have no more heartbeat, and that's it. And so I lost a lot of people who were using benzos and drinking alcohol at the same time. And it's a very sad state of affairs because some of these people were wonderful, talented, funny as hell people, but they just couldn't say no to drugs.
Wow.
Yeah, really good people. I mean, just funny as hell and creative and smart, but sometimes you would think, this guy's got to beat. This guy's got to beat.
And then, is it true that a lot of people, when they get off the drugs and they have a relapse, they go back to the last dose that they were taking, and you know, after being clean for so long, and then they go back and take, say, 5 of those pills, and then they wake up dead? I mean, they don't wake up. I'm sorry, they end up dead.
Well, it could be, yeah, that could happen for sure. Because remember, the addict is always chasing that first high. The first time they used whatever drug, it was beautiful. Oh, Jim, I was having a great trip, right? It felt so good. I felt so on top of the world. They're always chasing that first high, and they never seem to find it again. So they're always looking for more. They're always increasing their dosages, looking for more, whatever it might be. But I know Tony's very sympathetic to what we're talking about as well. And I am too, Tony. Like I say, wonderful people. It's not just people, say street people that get addicted to drugs. It's wonderful people that get in trouble with drugs. Wonderful people. And some make it and some don't. And it's just the way life is. But the success rate of working with people addicted to drugs is not a is not a high rate. But if we can help 1 out of every 10 or 20, right? You're at least you're helping somebody, and who knows?
All right.
The other people
So
might see out later.
We got a few people in here, and they want to know: is it a disease? Do you classify it as a doctor as a disease?
Tony, that's a big question. Is it a disease? If it's a disease like Alcoholics Anonymous says, you have to turn yourself over to a higher power, right? You have to say you're powerless over your addiction. But if you say it's a disease, that kind of absolves the addict from all the bad things they did, from like stealing from their family or robbing people. It says, well, look, it wasn't my fault. I have a disease. So is it a disease? Is it a choice?
You're absolutely right. So here I'm going to use my question now. A lot of people want to say it's a disease. I have a disease. But then if you go by the 12-step program, right? Isn't there something in there to make up for all the damage you've done?
Yeah, you have to make
not
amends.
Word for word, but something like that. Make amends for the damage
that's
you've
toward
done.
the end of toward the end of the program. You have to make amends. You have to go back to people and say, listen, Joe, could you meet with me, please? Listen, I feel as though I wronged you. I did you wrong, and I want to straighten this out, and I want to discuss this with you, and I want to make it right. So you have to make amends to the people that you hurt. And that's part of the program. But that usually comes later on in step 11 or 12 or something like that. But it's at the end.
All right. So isn't that kind of hypocritical? Well, you have a disease, Alcoholics Anonymous are telling you, but you know what? You better go make up for the damage you've done.
Right.
So now,
even though it wasn't your fault, right?
Right. Well, if you have a disease, you really don't have to make up for anything you've done. You know what I'm saying? If you're sick, you're sick. So me personally, I don't know what to classify it as anymore, because if you read the steps and you work with the people, you're getting hypocritical statements saying, well, you have a disease, but you got to make up for this. You have a disease, but you got to do this. That isn't the way you make up for a disease. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
So I'm not really sure what that means sometimes.
Well, most people now are saying they're like politicians. They're saying, well, it's a little bit of a choice. It's a little bit of a disease, So I don't know. I mean, it's such a good question.
Right,
look, it's like Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous 12-step programs have saved a lot of people's lives, though.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm saying it's a little hypocritical, but with the statements when you're in the hospital recovering and then when you go there. But I'm going to go to Tessie here. And I agree with her on this one. You are not a drug addict if you are on Xanax for anxiety and or an opiate for pain management. Just saying, she said. I agree with her, because if you have psychological problems, you need something. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, if she has severe anxiety and she's on some kind of a benzodiazepine, I can understand that. The back medication, I don't know what the extent of the injuries to her back were, but what happens a lot of times, I'm not talking about her, but people say, okay, I'm taking these 2 drugs, right? But they tend to overtake them, or they tend to drink with them, things like that. That's when there's problems. Now, if she's following them as prescribed and so on and so forth, and it's helping her live a better quality of life, and she's doing it the right way, and she's not overdoing it or drinking with it, then I think it's okay.
That's like they say, okay, you take oxycodone 3 times a day. Okay, space it every 8 hours. You take your Xanax every 6 hours. If you're going by the prescribed way and you're not falling short at the end of the month, like a lot of people do, we all know that, then yeah, you're going by what your doctors are prescribing you. A lot of people think it because it's prescribed, it's right. Not if you're taking it and going out and getting more in between your prescriptions.
Well, see, there are ways to improve your mood, to have less anxiety, but they take a little work. It's a change of lifestyle. It really is. It's a change in your diet. It's a change in exercise. It's a change of getting fresh air. It's a change in your attitude. It takes a lot of work. But look, we're all Americans. When do we want things done? Yesterday, right?
Yesterday.
So, Jim, if you can't make me feel good right away, I would like some kind of medication. And I understand what they're saying, but it
ain't gonna happen.
The holistic way is really the way to go if you could, right? Because that's the way where you're going to sort of be able to manage your anxiety yourself, be able to manage your depression yourself. Now, if you've tried that before and it hasn't worked for you, then I can understand if you're going the other way. But there's a lot of things you can do for yourself.
All right.
And every case is different. Every case is different.
All right. So Tessie asked a question here. She said, Tony, will you please ask Dr. Jim what is his opinion is in regards to, does he feel that a narcissist know there is something wrong with them, or do they just think they're normal?
No, they think that you're everybody else. They're very smart. They're smarter than you. There's nothing wrong with them. It's you. That's the way the narcissist would approach it. The narcissist thinks they're smarter than everybody else.
I see. Well, you see, have you ever been caught up where you believe the person needs detox, you believe the person needs rehab, but because of funds or lack of insurance, you can't get the person in? And what do you do as a doctor in a case like that?
Many times. Well, sometimes you can just do what's called pro bono. You know, I've seen people pro bono before, until we can put some kind of plan together and so on and so forth. But usually you can get them back on track. But sometimes there is a lapse of coverage for whatever reason. It's true. So that's a big problem.
All right. So COVID and Witch Don't Break This Oath says using that disease line to me means just an excuse. I would say if it works for you and you're getting through it the right way, use the disease all you want. But if you're sitting there and you're using it as an alibi to get high,
right.
You know, well, my disease came back, you know what I mean? Then it's bullshit.
Right. You don't want to get a victim mentality, because once you get that, you're finished, right? You're finished. The victim mentality, you're finished. But yeah, if it's working, like I say, AA and NA have saved a lot. I can't tell you how many AA meetings I've been to. And I think I told you the old story. I'm married at the time, and I come home and my wife said, I've got a couple calls that you're going to AA meetings. And they said, oh, they're concerned about you. I said, it's supposed to be confidential. How do they know I'm going to these meetings? Right. So it's like, there is still, even to this day, Tony and Angel, as you know, a stigma, right? I'm in the methadone program. I'm going to AA meetings. I'm going to NA meetings. I'm going to therapy. I'm seeing Jim for relapse prevention. I mean, it sounds good and everything, but some people will hold it, not against you, but there's still a stigma there where there really shouldn't be. The person's out there looking for help, and that's a good thing.
All right. So you have these people who go to the doctors and they have legitimate ACL repairs on their knees, broken knees, neck injuries. Over the years, I've seen, we've gone from Darvocet to Vicodin to Percocet, and now you ended up at oxycodone. Why are they increasing the strength of the painkiller with the same injuries we had 25, 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If it was working, Vicodin was working, Percocet was working. Not saying they're not addictable, but nothing like oxycodone is today.
Yeah, let me give you a little example of what you're talking about, Tony. So I'm in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I have a business with a partner, and I had a really, really, really bad headache one day. We usually kept aspirin there, and there wasn't any aspirin. My partner had high anxiety. He said, Jim, I'm going to break off a piece of my Xanax bar, just a little piece of it. He said, this will cure your headache. Are you sure? He says, yeah, just take it. I promise you. I took it. I woke up about an hour and a half later. It knocked me right out. And when I woke up, he says, oh, I was a little worried about you there. He said, listen, I take 3 of these every day. And I just gave you a little piece of one of the bars. It knocked me right out for like an hour. So these are, people talk about, I'm taking Xanax, I'm taking Klonopin. These are powerful medications, man. They're powerful. So you have to be very careful when you're taking them, very careful.
All right. So we had a comment to hear this. You can't find real oxys on the streets no more. They're all fake. Fent presses, very hard to find. What he means is fentanyl presses. Like they actually get the machines, and there's big business in this fake stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're not treating actually the opiate no more. You're treating the fentanyl, which this guy could be bullshitting, or this lady could be bullshitting you. You're treating maybe the wrong drug.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it could be. See, I got out of the business before this fentanyl whole thing, so I wasn't working with that. But yeah, I mean, you can't rely on anything you buy in the street in today's world. You're right, fentanyl and all that kind of stuff. It could be mixed with. But let me just also say this: talking about buying on the street, I had a mom. I can't remember any dads, but mothers that would go out and buy heroin for their sons or daughters, or some other kind of street drug. And I would say, so wait a minute, you went out and bought heroin for your son? Oh yeah, I don't want him getting in trouble. He's just starting out in life. If I have to get arrested, okay, but I bought it for him, and this way he could use it at home, and I could be there. And like, what? So I mean, that's happening too, where the parents are going out on the street and buying it for the kids, so they won't be so.
Oh, that's crazy. But Stone Sailor wants to know, Doctor, what's your opinion on DBS, deep brain stimulation? Great show, Angel. Thank you very much, Stone Sailor. Thank you.
Well, deep brain stimulation, I know they're using for, what's the disorder where they have tics? I can't remember the name of the disorder now, but they're using that for people who have these constant tics, right? Where they're just yelling things out in public all of a sudden, or
Tourette's.
Tourette's syndrome. Thank you, Angel. Yeah. That deep brain stimulation seems to really work well for that. Now, as far as drug addiction or something, I don't know anything about deep brain stimulation being applied to that, but I could be behind the times.
Oh, wow. Okay. Does anybody else, do you mind if we drop the link now? Dr. Jim?
What do you mean by that, Angel? I don't know.
Would you like to bring up guests?
Drop the link and have people come up?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. Let me just hold on. My daughter's coming in here. Let me just shut the camera off. Go ahead. Okay, so do you want to come up and speak to Dr. Jim? And somebody, let me just thank these.
And Dr. Jim, thank you very much for coming on again.
Yes, thank you.
I love this show.
Good talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi there, Kathy. Thank you so much. I was just going to thank everybody thank you, Kathy, for the 10 memberships.
Wow.
Thank you, Donna DeMarco. Thank you, Kathy Fagan, for another 10.
Wow.
And it was working before. I saw all the names that got the memberships, and then I don't know what happened to it again. But and thank you again, Donna. Wow, Kathy.
We can run it off after. We can run the names off after. I got the names.
Oh, okay. Well, 60 memberships she bought.
Whoa. Great.
No, 40.
Wait,
that's great.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's right. 10 and 10. I'm sorry. So 40. Thank you so much, Kathy. And
You're welcome.
She did the 20. Johnny Yarborough, thank you so very much. Great show tonight. Thank you, Johnny. And the Stone Sailor, I read that one. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Wow.
So, yes, thank you.
That's great. See, Angel and Tony, you guys are supplying entertainment, information, and inspiration. Just what we talked about.
Hey, you do your best, and you give great answers. You're generous to come up here and talk to everybody, answer everybody's questions. We're doing our best to keep up with the chat. But this is a lot of questions, a lot of chats in here tonight. Wow.
Yeah.
And let me ask you one final question. And we ran into this problem once. I'm not asking for no names by no means. Did you ever run into a problem with doctors being dependent on opiates?
No, but I've run into a problem with nurses, airline pilots. Believe it or not, I had 2 airline pilots who were flying for American Airlines, and they got caught smoking pot in the plane, in the cockpit. And so the guy was mandated for treatment. And I said, what's going on? He said, well, Jim, you have to realize once we get up in the air, we put it on autopilot. Our work is basically done until we have to land again. He said, so not only was he smoking it up, but the co-pilot was smoking it up.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing. They were talking about air traffic controllers. The majority of them were on some kind of Klonopin, Valium, Xanax for a while. They were having a lot of problems with the
I also had more than a few nurses. What the nurses were doing is they were stealing drugs from the hospital, but not from the hospital. They would steal drugs from the patients. For example, if a person had an IV and he was prescribed some kind of sedative or whatever it might be, the nurse would fill the syringe with a saline solution and inject that into the IV and keep the drug for themselves.
Oh.
Yeah, and so the nurses were mandated for treatment, and they were mandated for if we called them up for a drug screening, they had to come right in. If they didn't come in within, say, an hour, then it was considered a positive test. But they could still get their license back if it would take about a year if they came to therapy and did all these things, and they could get their license back. But they were stealing drugs not from the hospital. That was too hard. They were stealing drugs from patients.
Oh my God.
Okay, so to add on to that, what was going on was now that the hospitals caught on that there were drugs missing in the very, very beginning, they were all caught. So they had to find another way to subsidize for their drug habit. And then they were taken from the patients. There were times when patients were on, medications that you would be out of it anyway, and you would still take like a painkiller here, a painkiller there. Guess what happens? They'd switch the painkiller for something else, they were saying in one hospital. But I'm going to just say this about this kid here, Sicilian Cindy. He's a young man, went through some issues in his personal life, and you see how much he appreciates an Angel. Angel's show has gotten me through some real rough times.
Inspiration.
Because I knew it.
There's the inspiration right there. That's one of the three things.
Yep. Let's see. So Chris Archilla said, we had some nurse at the clinic who was watering down the jug of methadone for patients and keeping some for herself.
Is that Stone Sailor?
Yeah, that's me. That's me, Angel.
That's him.
I was talking, and meanwhile I was muted. Sorry, I'm
no
sorry.
problem.
What's up, Sailor Man? How are you?
Hey, how are you, Angel? How are you, Tony?
How are you?
Brother.
How's everything, Kathy?
Good.
Doctor, how are you, sir?
Hi, Sailor.
Hey, I had a question. I'm not interrupting. Am I? Were you answering something?
No. Go ahead. Shoot, buddy.
DBS, deep brain stimulation. It's chip. Their implant. Elon Musk is spearheading a lot of this. They get severely drug addicted people, like the people on Kensington and all this stuff. And what they want to do is they implant a chip in your brain, and it sends stimulation to the part of your brain that you have cravings for. And the research they're working on with this, it's from what I'm reading and gathering, it's going to be like, this is going to be it. They're looking to solve this. And if you're willing and you want, and you go there and they put that chip in your brain, they're saying they could cure people of this going forward for severe cases, people that can't, they're not going to use it as a first time, but like it would be something where if they've been to rehab multiple times, etc., it doesn't work, because that's the boxing and methadone clinics. They're just money. That's a money racket. You understand? It costs it's a money racket. It's a total money racket. This would be something, I think, because the money's it's not in the cure, it's in the treatment.
Exactly.
Okay. And if you have a system like that, then it doesn't incentivize these companies to do research to cure things.
Exactly.
So have you read about DBS?
Yeah, some, like I say, but I'm all in favor. This sounds absolutely great. I mean,
yeah,
this sounds.
I've been reading a little bit about it, so I just wanted to bring it up. I didn't know if you knew anything about it, but I was impressed from what I read, and I think going forward, a lot of these people that are so just gone, they can't come back from it. You can't let them live on the street and let their arms and limbs fall off because they got gangrene. So you either got to involuntarily commit them and force them to go treatment, or you got to do something drastic like a chip or something. Otherwise, leaving them on the street to just rot to death, we can't allow that in this country.
Sailor, are you talking about Kensington Street in Philadelphia?
Yes, sir, I am. Yes.
Guys, are you guys familiar, the rest of the panel and the audience, with Kensington Street in Philadelphia? It's a disaster. It's a long, long road in Philadelphia, downtown Philadelphia, where there's nothing but people lying in the streets, shooting up and passed out, and it's horrible. And I don't know how the city allows it to happen, but you know what I'm talking about, Sailor, right?
Yes, literally, there's people with their arms that are falling off. They got gangrene because there's this other drug they're using called croc or something like that. It's like a whole nother thing. It's like Trank or something.
Crank.
No, Trank. It's something like that. Yeah. I mean, literally, these people they shoot themselves up so much, and their veins are all dead. I mean, everything from their head to their toes.
I have seen that.
And so Eric Murphy said xylazone,
Xylazine or something like that.
Okay, something I heard. They call it crocodile or something in Europe.
That's it. You're right.
Xylazone. Crocodile. Yeah, that's in Europe. Speaking of Kensington, I was in the military when I was in Italy 2010, 11, and I had Italian friends, local nationals. And when I invite them over my house one day and I put on a YouTube channel of Kensington, these Italians have never been to America. They did not believe me that was America.
It's horrible.
They didn't believe me. I swear.
Horrible.
It's ridiculous what goes on over there, and it's you look like a zombie. You actually look like zombies.
It's like The Walking Dead, literally. The Walking Dead.
Exactly. Sailor's got it. It's The Walking Dead, the walking zombies there.
Somebody was on one.
They let it happen.
Someone was on. Sarah, I think you were on a panel, me and you, one night, and we were talking about drugs in Kensington, and somebody had said, walking through Kensington or walking around the park where Kensington is, do you actually smell death? Yes,
literally rotten flesh. Like people's arms and limbs are literally. I mean, there's kids with YouTube channels about Kensington, and I forget offhand, but one's like Kensington stroll, like Kensington whatever, walk through Kensington, something like that. And this guy walks through, and he looks at these. Half the time he has to see if they're still alive. He's actually on a live stream, grabbed Narcan and squirted it and brought people back to life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one lady was actually mad.
Yeah.
She had no heartbeat. She was out.
Yeah, all right, so we have a gentleman in the chat, Chris Ochiller again. He said, I lost my leg because of xylazine. And he did. And he's in recovery, and he's a great young guy.
Yes.
Good. And he knows how to deal with it where other people wouldn't be dealing with it like this. Not only did he have to come off the drugs, he lost his whole leg. You know what I mean? So, Sally, Chris.
Of course. Yeah.
You know how it goes.
And I'm his biggest cheerleader, too.
No, we know him. We talk to him like off of here. And Chris is a good guy to talk to. He's got a good personality and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't be able to come. A lot of people won't be able to deal with that. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yep.
Even when they go and these idiots make jokes about his leg missing and stuff, he laughs at it. He'll roll with it, and I'll talk to him a few minutes later. I'll talk to him later on that night. He's fine. He knows how to deal with it.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, Sailor, that very few people around the country know about Kensington Avenue. I know, tri-state area probably more people do, but I watch that sometime on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's a whole nother universe.
I'm originally from Philadelphia, not Kensington, but South Philadelphia, and it's a national disgrace,
right?
That we have a street like that. It's a disgrace. They literally hang Narcan they leave it like out in public areas for these people. So because there's people literally dying, so they hand out Narcan to all the users too. Because couples will shoot up together and one will die, and then they'll.
Okay, so I was watching a YouTube video from that. Sally, you ever see the guy who goes around and he feeds them and he brings them water and drinks and stuff?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, there's a couple of them. I've seen that one too. Yeah.
All right, so this guy's a little Asian guy, and God bless this guy. He goes to every neighborhood within the Northeast, South, and he tries to feed them, give them drinks. And as he was giving out the turkey dinners, just this past Thanksgiving, last year's, okay, they were trying to sell it to people on the street so that they could get high again.
Get more junk. Yep.
Not but 5 feet from this gentleman. So until the government gets involved, that's beyond state helping out over there. Until the government gets involved, Kensington will have that. And, they said a lot of people are trying to work on it. I don't see it.
Well, I think we really need to bring back the mental hospitals in this country. And when people are a danger to the public and things like that, and they can't get themselves clean, they need to be involuntarily committed, where they're forced to go to treatment, forced to dry out. And if they can't do it, then they can't get out. You know what I mean? And if they let them out, they can let them into like a halfway house scenario, kind of like, because I used to be a prison guard. You don't want to let a guy out right away. You let him go to a halfway house. He's got to get a job. You got to then from halfway house, 6-7 months, he goes on probation, where instead of every night, he's got to come once a month. It's like to gradually reintroduce him back to society. And that's what needs to be done with them, because we can't have people rotting away on the street like that. That's a public health threat. So,
now, Stella, you worked in the prisons. You
Yes,
worked
sir.
in the military.
Mhm.
Did you ever work in the streets as a cop?
no, I was only a military cop and a civilian federal corrections officer and a
All right,
private
so-
investigator, but that's not a cop. Yeah.
That's not all right. So let's go there. The drug problem in prisons. Okay, I'm sure you've seen that.
Sure.
How do they deal with it in prisons? Or is it
If
just
you can't-
do what
listen,
you want?
We can't even keep the drugs out of the prison, and they're locked up 24 hours. You know, it's usually it's smuggled in through the mail. It either gets in through the mail, through visitation, or corrupt staff. It's just one of 3 ways it's getting in. Oh, and let me add a fourth: drone. They've been flying drones over the prison yards, dropping drugs, and then flying a drone away. And then when in the morning we would let them out for rec, and then they would pick them up because we wouldn't see the drone. It would come in the middle of the night. It wasn't even a crime back before I retired, but now it's a federal crime. If you fly a drone over a prison, now you can actually be arrested, like for some kind of charge. But that's the only 4 ways drugs are getting in. So you either got corrupt staff members, and yes, there are some of those. Some know how to, they're clever through the mail and things like that. Some come in, they have a visitor, put it up there, you know what, and smuggle it in.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
it.
You would think that the prison, the drive just up to the prison is long. The prisons that I visited, anyway.
Mhm.
So how can a drone get that close over a prison fence? You have to go upstairs.
You're talking about Lewisburg, right? Out in the middle of the sticks?
Well, actually, no. I
Which
don't
one?
remember.
Raybrook?
Yeah, I don't remember Lewis. Yeah, I'm thinking of Raybrook.
Raybrook, okay.
Ms.
Marion?
Marion, Illinois.
Well, Marion was basically the Alcatraz of that
Yeah.
time. When your father went there, that was Alcatraz until they opened up the other place in the ADX in Colorado.
Yeah.
So it was a lot harder to get something in Marion, but still, they got it. They get it through. A corrupt officer can bring it through. That happens, sure, unfortunately. And but yes, the mail or visitation. Now, where your dad was, it was no contact visit, so it's impossible through that.
Right.
But your dad was in the supermax. You got regular penitentiaries, mediums, lows, and camps that have contact visits. So when you have contact visits, of course, we got to screen the guests and make them walk through a metal detector, but we're not doing full body cavity searches on people,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, at nighttime, how could you get close enough to a prison yard with a drone?
Well,
You'd be shocked.
I'm speaking for Coleman. When I worked at Coleman, which was in Ocala, kind of where Eric Foss is right now, he's very close to home, Coleman Prison. And what the prison is like, it's on these old, it's right next to a farm, to this farmland where they have all kinds of cattle and things like that. So what'll happen is somebody will go like on the farm and they'll fly the drone from there into the yard, because remember, we got 2 penitentiaries, a medium, a low, and a camp. So we have 5 prisons in one complex. So they can get within the vicinity of the prison close enough where they could fly a drone over and then drop contraband. Now, some other prisons, of course, it would be a lot harder. Like the ADX, you're not flying any drone into that place,
Right.
So it depends. But if let's say you're at a camp, let's say you're in Duluth, Minnesota at the minimum security prison camp there. And camps are open. Angel, during the day, we would let the guys out. They would drive trucks and stuff if they were at the camp. We had girls. They would actually, they had truck driver licenses. They would drive, pick up supplies, bring it back to the prison. So they would actually leave and come back. And then, of course, they're supposed to be searched and all that. But I mean, those camps are very low security, and the mediums, a little bit more, but not as much. So it depends on where the location is. Yes, they can get a drone over there.
Did you ever, as a security guard?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a security guard.
Corrections officer, prison guard. Yeah.
Prison guard. Did you ever have like people stoned out on drugs in the prison?
Oh yeah, we've had a couple of overdoses in that prison.
Oh wow.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. We did. I caught a guy shooting up. He stole a needle from medical in the disposable box, the red box. When you're supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So they got him as an orderly. An officer's not doing their job, or maybe a nurse. He's cleaning up, and he's able to break into the box and pull a syringe out. And he buys some dope, and then bam, he uses his belt. He makes a vein, and then he shoots it up, and then they sell the needle and they pass it around. It's how they get tattoo needles too, a lot of times.
Now, tattoos in prison, that's not allowed, right?
No, it's not allowed. No. It goes on, but it's not allowed. No.
Yeah. Well, how is it that they get away with that? Where do they?
It's very easy. I'm one person in a penitentiary with 128 guys. 64 up top, 64 on the bottom. Now we have 2 officers in the pen. But let's say when I worked, there was 1 until we had a murder, and then federal law came in and mandated 2 officers per penitentiary per shift. So, but until that happened in 2015, we were by ourselves. So 128 guys running around, 70% of them are never going to see the streets again. They're lifers. So, I mean, you can only watch so much. So a guy will be a tattoo artist, and he'll get some needles, and he'll get another guy to stand lookout just in case I do a round or something and they stop it. And then they go in and do it. I mean, honestly, we know what's going on. It's not necessarily like the highest priority, okay? Because, if you're in a penitentiary, you're worried about stabbings and big fights and riots. Like, guys are making money doing tattoos. And to be quite honest with you, I've seen some really good tattoos done in prison.
So now, Angel, you've never seen the shows where they actually have people filming on cell phones of the prisoners, and what they do is they go in the cell and they film them getting high and all zombied out. Yeah, they
keep a lookout on the tier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, you got 1 officer, or maybe you're lucky 2. I mean, we got, like I said, cells on the top, cells on the bottom. We do our random searches, but we can't be everywhere all the time. And then if there's an emergency, then everything is chaotic, and people are. It's pretty crazy working in the penitentiary.
I mean, you're talking about drugs, even the cell phones stuff.
Oh yeah, the cell phones were there too. I mean, it's a little harder to get them in, and now they increased the penalty in the federal prison. Now, if you're caught with a cell phone, they increased it even more. So if you're caught with a phone now, I forget what it is. But now it's like they're making it mandatory time, like a gun. You understand?
Like with a gun.
Yeah, like 60 months. Now it used to be just a disciplinary shot. We'd write them and all that stuff. But now if the prosecutor's gonna take that and bring it outside and charge them federally with that introduction of contraband, a cellular device, because now the fact that you have a cellular device inside an institution, you're basically doing live YouTube shows and all this. You're showing the world all of our safety and security procedures, and that is that creates a danger for the staff and even the inmates that are there. It creates danger because this guy's filming them. It could be someone, you know what I'm saying? Something like that they saw him, they don't like him, and they want him to kill him the next day. Something like that, So that's why they had to increase the penalties for it.
Well, you've seen them over in the UK, the lady guard. She made a sex tape with the prisoner. It was no, but I'm just saying. Now
we've had an officer get pregnant by an inmate.
Oh, there's multiples with that.
Yes,
multiples with that.
Yes, that happens.
But this lady thought she was going to do it. Get away.
I didn't get her pregnant, Angel.
I know it wasn't you.
Angel, better than Exxon. 50 years without a spill. Go ahead, Tony.
So this lady this lady had already a contract to sell that tape, having sex with a prisoner.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
You know, and they found a whole bunch of videos on this corrections officer outside of the prison.
Yeah.
But that's how sick some of these people are.
Yep. Yep. I know. I've worked with people that were walked out for fooling around with inmates. I've worked with people that were arrested for smuggling stuff. Like I'm working with the guy, and then like 20 minutes later, they want us to. The warden comes on and says, "Lock everybody down." So we're like, "Why are we locking down? It's only like 7 o'clock. It's not even 9:30 at night." And then we lock everyone down, and then all the officers get, when you got your inmates locked out, step out in front of your units. So we come out in units, and like you hear the warden on the radio at 7 o'clock at night. You're like, no, he shouldn't be here this late. There's something going on. And then you see SIS, and then you see the FBI, and they start walking onto the compound, and they got all the officers like out front, and this guy right next to me, they're like, "Come here, Garland." His name was Garland. He walked him. They grabbed his bag. They took it. He had his lunch bag with him. They took it. They went in the office. They searched the office for any other thing he had, and they walked him right out of the prison. And when I left later, I'm leaving. They're searching his car. He had like a Dodge Caravan, family van. They were tearing the seat. They were taking the seats out of it. Come to find out, he was bringing in tobacco, cell phones, and drugs.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. So now check this out, Phil. Angel, how long was your dad in Marion and Springfield for? Do you remember?
When did he go? He got there in 92. He died in 2002.
How many wardens did he have?
Springfield
also. Springfield and Marion.
Well, between the two, he was there for 10 years, and he was in MCC for 2 years.
Okay, so now besides MCC, cell, he was in Marion, and then he was transferred to Springfield, right?
Right.
How about that they even transferred the warden with him to make sure that they kept it up his ass?
Like when Martha, I know, like when there's a high profile person, your dad was high profile. They, a lot of times, like with same thing with like Martha Stewart, they had a captain. They made a captain come in. They have a captain during the day. Captain works the day shift, 8 to 4. They actually had to have a captain on 24/7 while she was there.
Why?
Some of these,
Why?
Just because she was in Danbury in the prison, and they didn't want anything to happen to her. So they wanted a captain on duty 24/7 while she was locked up. Captains don't work at night. They work during the day. That's the whole reason why you become a captain. You're right next to the warden. You work 8 to 4. You get weekends and holidays off, and it made a captain, they had to basically they got all these captains to stand duty to make sure there was always a captain on duty while Martha was in Danbury.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't surprise me. They were, yeah.
Was it the same thing with Teresa from the New Jersey Housewives?
I don't know if it was the same for her. I know it was the same for Martha Stewart, because I met an officer that worked at Danbury when Martha Stewart was there, and he told us that. Yeah.
Well, they said it was the same for Leona Helmsley as well, but not the.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh, and Angel, I still got to tell you a story that I one day when we talk offline, I want to tell you a story. It's your brother. Tell it to your brother after I tell you.
Okay, I will. All right.
There are so many behind the scenes movements in prison. So you could be the witness to that. That a lot of times, but never did I hear of the warden going with the prisoner.
You know why he doesn't? Because he's, that's basically his thing. He's like, this is my high profile guy, and I'm going to follow him to Springfield because unfortunately things happen sometimes during transfers. You understand what I mean?
Well, look at Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, guys, when they're transferring you. So if, like, in other words, they're just going, okay, get on the bus. So you got some officer, a regular officer like me, who don't know, something bad could happen. You never know. So the warden goes with him as a VIP escort from the BOP. I thought that's completely appropriate. Yeah, he was going to the prison hospital in Springfield.
But my father was the only inmate in Springfield's history that was on 24-hour lockdown.
That's crazy, because that's usually, you go there. That's God's waiting room, basically. We call that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
The
mean,
only
if
one
some of those people
themselves.
wouldn't be able to escape if they wanted to because they got cancer or dying.
Yeah, they're sick. They're very,
Yep.
very sick.
Yeah.
Um, Dr. Jim, somebody asked a good question. I think it was Chicago Muscle.
Marcella.
Can people be addicted to drama?
Well, certainly. Many people have what's called an addictive personality. For example, they were taking, let's just say they were addicted to oxycodone, opiates, or something like that, and they kind of kick that addiction, but then they get into something else like shopping, or sex addiction, or something like that, right? And some people just live their lives drama. If there isn't any drama in their lives, they will create some because that's what they feed off of. They have a personality and they love that drama.
Hey, Doc, let me ask you this. We got a content creator, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he's got an extreme foot fetish. What is that? Where does that, how do you get that?
Well, how you get it, I don't know, but it's an attraction to the deviant, as we would say. It's an attraction.
Say that again. What was it? Deviant, you said?
It's an attraction to the deviant. And
I don't even want to know which content creator this is.
He goes back and forth to Thailand a lot, but go ahead.
Oh,
Doc.
Go ahead.
That'll answer your question. It's an attraction to the deviant. It's something that they use to get their satisfaction. Let's put it that way. So it would be the center of their of the thing that they need for satisfaction, for sexual gratification, I should say.
I'm glad you told me that. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense now, sir.
It's an attraction to the deviant.
To the deviant.
Right.
Well, this guy's definitely deviant.
Oh,
well, this would go right along with, for example, the attraction to the deviant would be like someone who's a masochist who wants to experience pain, or a sadist who wants to inflict pain, and all that kind of voyeur.
Okay.
Wants to go out and peep in windows, peeping toms, and things of that.
Definitely deviant.
Yeah.
wow.
That was some good information. It really was. It makes a lot of sense now.
There's a lot
opinion, I'm sorry. Go ahead. In your opinion, I have to think how to. Okay, so as I've told you before, there are content creators, some that were former whatever, superficial friends, whatever. No matter how many times I keep telling them, but I don't want to fight. They keep dredging up old crap from whatever, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and they keep trying to fight with us. And we keep saying we don't want to fight. What do you call those people, Dr. Jim?
I would call them jealous. Someone who's jealous doesn't want you
Very true.
to have. They think they should have what you have. So therefore, they don't want you having what you have, and they're angry about it.
Oh.
I would call it old-fashioned jealousy.
Shut me down.
And also I think it shows a lower level of maturity.
A lower level of maturity.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
That's
Anybody else
interesting.
have any questions?
That makes a lot of sense. Jealousy and envy. Sure.
Dr. Jim, did you ever work with any prisoners?
I worked with people coming out of prison. They were mandated for a treatment, whether they were on probation or parole, things of that nature, but not while they were in prison, but when they came out.
When they're on the release?
Yeah.
On the release, yeah. Okay.
Or how about people who have to go to you instead of going to prison?
Well, sometimes people got placed on probation, and part of their probation, if they're on probation,
Exactly.
right, part of their probation was mandated treatment. Yeah, I had a lot of that too. Yeah, I did. Well, yeah.
Were they successful?
Some were, some weren't. I had some really good guys actually coming out of prison who did some, pretty bad things. That really turned their lives around. I'll give you one quick story.
Yeah, good.
This one guy was a big drug dealer, and he got 12 years in prison. So he came out and he was mandated for treatment, the whole thing. And they said, listen, you got to find a job, man. You got to find a job. So he couldn't find a job anywhere because he was a felon now. He couldn't find a job. It's hard to get a job if you're a felon. It really is. So to make a long story short, this guy, I said, listen, the best you can. He goes, Jim, I can't find a job. I said, look, just pick a town and go there and just go everywhere. So he went to Danbury, Connecticut. He went to Duracell Battery. It's a big, the batteries, right? And he walked into the shipping and receiving area, and he said, I'm looking for a job. They said, well, you got to apply online, or, what are you doing here? And I guess the boss overheard it. He goes, come over here. What's going on? He says, I'm looking for a job, man. And the guy says, well, come on in the office. He says, tell me about yourself. He says, look, I'll be frank with you. I just got out of prison, and everywhere I go, nobody wants to hire me. He said, tell me about yourself. So the guy goes on to tell him the boss about himself. And he says, you know what? I'm going to hire you. He says, I like your gumption. I like your spunk. You're going everywhere. But the reason why I'm going to hire you, he says, because 20 years ago, I was right in your position. And I came here.
Wow.
Somebody hired me. He says, so now I'm going to hire you. But I'm going to tell you something. If you F up just one time and you make me look bad, I'll be the first to fire you. He said, so I want you to be the perfect employee because I'm going to stick my neck out for you because somebody did it for me. And that's what happened. So you do get a lot of, and the guy was working, he was working there for a couple of years and I lost track of him. So I'm sure he's doing pretty well.
So he was doing well for the couple of years that
you. Yeah, he was doing well.
I love hearing things.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but he never gave up. He never gave up, and that's what happened. So you never know who you're going to run into, right?
All right.
You hear so many. Go ahead, Tony.
Dr. Jim, I have a question from Rainbow Melon. First of all, are you able to, and have you ever had anybody committed into a facility?
Yes. Normally, you can only get somebody committed to a facility, and I think Angel and Tony, you guys have mentioned this before, and other people too, is if you're a threat to yourself, a danger to yourself, or a danger to others. Yeah, if that's established, they can put you in a hospital for 72 hours. And then during that 72 hours, if they determine that you're going to be a continued danger to yourself or other people, then you will be committed somewhere, like the other hospital I was working at, Rushford Mental Hospital, as an inpatient. But that's usually the way it's done, unless there's some other extenuating circumstance, but that's usually the way it's done.
We call it a Baker Act in Florida. Baker Act.
Yeah. It's called, yes, Baker Act. I had a guy come in one day, and I was interviewing him, and he was a veteran, and so on and so forth. And I just, at the end of the interview, I didn't feel right. And I said, Mr. Jones, are you thinking about hurting yourself when you leave here? And he said, yeah, probably. I mean, this is like, I don't know why you're asking this. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. He's like, do you have any weapons on you? He goes, I got a shotgun in my truck. I said, well, where's your truck? He says, it's on the parking lot. Okay. I said, hold on. So, I made the proper calls, and the guys came down with the white coats, right? And he got mad at me. He goes, what the hell's going on? I said, listen, I'm worried about your safety. Well, his wife came in and she thanked me so much. She said, I was so worried about him. He was threatening suicide and I didn't know what to do, and so on and so forth. I said, well, he's going to be living here now for a while, and he's going to be in my IOP program for the next 12 weeks. And anyways, so 12 weeks goes by. The guy goes,
what is an IOP program?
Intensive outpatient treatment, where they come in every day. We give them breakfast and lunch, and a lot of the people live in the hospital and so on. So anyways, at the end of the 12 weeks, the guy is doing super. He's not drinking anymore. He's not, he's back to, according to his wife, he's doing well. And she came in a couple weeks later. She said, Jim, I just want to thank you in the hospital here. She said, I was really worried about my husband. I thought I lost him, but he's really back to his old self, she said. And, I'm just so thankful. And so that was one of the other times where I had somebody committed, right? And it worked out really well. And once again, corresponded with them for so many months, and then I moved on from there. But so there are times when, yeah, I have had people committed, and it kind of saved their lives, actually.
Was this through the were you working through the VA when this happened, or
no? But he owned like a VA bar.
okay? Oh, that a VFW maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
VFW,
okay.
yeah,
He owned the bar. Okay, yeah.
He was drinking a lot, and he was depressed.
Sure, it's no tax. You could buy alcohol there all day, no taxes, and you could drink for like $20, like till you're
absolutely. So that's what happened with him. So yeah, sometimes I have committed people, and and it's a good thing I did. Like they get mad at you, like you this and that. You told me that everything was going to be okay, but they thank you in the end. And
I go to the VA, and every time I go there, they always ask you that question. It's like mandatory; they have to ask it. Are you okay? Do you have any thoughts of hurting yourself? And blah blah blah, this and that. No, but they ask it every time for everybody, whether you're there for whatever, to, have a physical or, you hurt your pinky, something like that,
Sailor, that's a great policy. I'll tell you what. I didn't even think about this when I was talking with this guy, but there was just something in my mind. I said, there's just something not right here. I'm just going to ask this guy. He may lie to me, but yeah, I probably will kill myself when I get home.
They ask that to everyone when you go in there. No matter what it is,
Dr. Jim, have you ever been with had a case that it affected you so much that you actually brought it home with you, or discussed it in your personal life that it bothered you so much? Maybe one individual.
I won't say I brought it home for long. I mean, I came home and did discuss it sometimes, but no, because you can't. I guess it's sort of like being a cop. The things you see, and you go home and you have to sort of have a different persona. You got to sort of like, okay, that's my professional life. I'm home now. I don't want to think about those things, type of thing. But yeah, you do. And some of the things, like when I lost patients, people who committed suicide, or people were not sure if they committed suicide or not, but they were taking, say, some benzodiazepines, and they were drinking, and or they were shooting heroin, whatever it might have been. And I lost some patients who were not only patients, but pretty good friends. And that kind of got me, but, I try to keep a tough interior and exterior. And that's the way life is. Some people make it, some people don't. But in the business of helping people try to feel better, you win some and you lose some, unfortunately.
Can I ask a question?
Go right ahead. What are you kidding?
Do you think some doctors prescribe medicine too quickly?
100%, yes.
Great question.
Opioids and things like that. Because I had an issue 10 years ago. I have 2 herniated discs, but one is wrapped around a nerve, and I really can't have surgery. So I went to a pain management, and they would give me epidurals and things like that. So, because I refuse to take any medication that these other doctors try to give me, like oxycodone and all that stuff, Percocet, and because I took one once and I just didn't like the way I felt on it.
Yeah, that's the problem. People get in accidents or hurt their back or something like that, and they're prescribed all these
like they were quick to and then the last thing they tried to give me, which I tried, was a fentanyl patch.
Really?
And I was at my sister's house, and I was like, I have to take this off. I can't, I just did not like the way I felt, and I was scrubbing my arm and but I try to do it. I get like acupuncture and acupressure, and I go for physical therapy. I get epidurals every, few weeks or whatever. But I just felt like all these doctors, I went to 7 different doctors, and right away they were trying to prescribe a painkiller.
That's the way they're trained. They're trained on the medical model. If you come in for some kind of complaint, somatic or body complaint, they're going to give you some medication for it. And usually the medications, as you know, are like Band-Aids. They don't get to the cause of it, but they dull the symptoms.
But a lot of doctors also will give you a medication because they get kickbacks from it. They get a kickback from it.
Yeah, that used to be widely done. I don't know if it's still is. Yeah, Angel, you're right. They would give vacations.
I worked for them. I know.
Yeah, the pharmaceutical companies, those reps, they take them out to dinner. They wine them, they dine them.
They pay for their parties. Some of them.
Yeah. They invite him to their like Christmas party in Vegas and all this stuff. All expenses paid.
Okay, so a quick joke on that one, and it's not a joke; it's the truth. The two biggest competitions in the early 2000s was Viagra salespeople and Cialis salespeople.
Yeah.
They had the doctors split down the middle, where they were bringing lunches to the office. They were giving them dinners at nighttime in local restaurants.
Believe me, I did it. I arranged them.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all true. It's all true.
I'd rather go through an epidural, which is painful.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like I don't
want
to
take medicine.
Yeah, I never wanted painkillers. I told everybody on here a while ago. What I did when I hurt my back. 2 times I hurt my back, and both times my doctor gave me an epidural. Epidurals worked great for me.
Yep, I'm getting another one on the 3rd of October. I got my second one coming.
Oh, you have your second one? Good.
Yep.
Good.
All right, so now both of you guys are getting epidurals. Angel, did you have them in the office or did you have them under anesthesia? And same question for you, Sarah.
Well, my doctor, yes, I had it under anesthesia because what happened is when I went there, he was doing surgeries that day and he had the anesthesiologist there. So and as a matter of fact, I was taking my daughter to the doctor and I hurt my back and I figured, oh my God, when I got out of the car, the valet had to help me make it to the elevator. That's how bad I was. But I had to, I wasn't going to let my daughter go alone. And I was friends with him too. So he came out, he's like, what's the matter? I said, I can't walk. He said, come on, come in the back. And they put me right out and gave me the epidural, and I floated out of there.
Good. Well, it made you feel you were pain free.
Oh my God, I was much better.
Good.
Yeah, I don't have anesthesia when I go.
Oh, he gave me it, put me right out.
Well, I've had it both ways. I've had it with anesthesia and without anesthesia. And the ones under anesthesia, Kathy, they can go a little deeper.
Okay, because I didn't have anesthesia the first time, and they did it at the VA right there in the office. The doctor did it.
Doesn't it hurt?
Yeah, it hurt.
It hurts like a bitch. Yeah,
it hurt.
Oh,
yeah.
It does? See, I didn't know, but I've had an epidural before when with my son. Did I have it with my son? No, I think I had it. I don't remember which kid, one of them or both of them. They never bothered me.
You were probably in so much pain from carrying or something at the time. You weren't even worried about your back.
Oh, no. So it was called a saddle block back then.
Oh, you had a block. Okay.
Yeah, block. It wasn't even an epidural. That's right. It was a saddle block. And after that, you weren't allowed to lift your head up for like 4 hours or something like that. You had to stay still and your head back. I think that was for my son.
When they do that saddle block, they give you that injection in the middle of your back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't move. That's very dangerous if you move.
Oh yeah, that's the sensitive area there. If you can't be half an inch off or whatever, you're screwed.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's what I'm saying. There's so many different solutions and things out there. Why so many people have to go to the pills? That's what gets me. There's epidural.
When I had my spinal injury and all that, had my spinal surgery, they gave me so many pills. They were like TikToks. They were handing them to me. But I after 90 days, I withdrew myself from them. I told them no more. And the first couple nights, I was sweating. I was going through it because I realized now I had major spinal surgery and they had me on a morphine thing and all that. But after that was done, I weaned myself off because I refused to be an addict. Even though they said I was never going to walk again and, whatever, which they were wrong. But I was not going to be a drug addict. I'm not going to add to my sorrow. So I just, I just said, hey, I'm going to take the pain. I don't care, whatever. You got Tylenol, things like that. Acupuncture, I've done all that. Sleep on ice, put a lot of ice on my back when I, go to bed. I pack myself with ice and stuff, especially if I've been up all day. So, but I don't take any pain narcotics now. I do smoke cannabis, and that does help me. And it helps me mentally and physically because it takes my mind away from pain and stuff after a long day, and you feel like you had 100-pound weight on your back holding you down, and it's helped me. And I go ahead.
I'm sorry. What did happen to you, Stone Sailor?
I had a fusion from T5 to T8. I had it fused, and while it was getting fused, I was working, and I was bending a lot, picking up trays and things, and prior to that I had L in the military. I had L1 and L2 fused, so my back was kind of pretty bad, and then a lot from working at the prison bending. And one day I couldn't move anymore, and I had a bad eye infection, and it come to find out when I had the surgery, I got staph infection and all that in the back. They thought I was going to die. They had to put all these antibiotics in me through the IV for 90 days. I was in intensive, isolation because I developed a staph infection in my spine, and it damn near killed me. And then they told me I was never going to walk again, that I was paralyzed. So like I was in a wheelchair wearing a diaper for 2 years. Whoa. And then I got back on. I learned to walk again. I used a lot of aquatics. I was in the pool, and I read a book about, believe it or not, The Art of Jeet Kune Do, which is a Bruce Lee book. And he wrote about how he rehabbed himself when he had a very serious back injury, when he was in traction. If you remember that movie, he was in traction, if you remember, because he had a major spinal injury. Supposedly someone kicked him in the back and hurt him. I don't know if that's really 100% true, that story, but either way, the injury is true and how he recovered. And I read a lot about that. I was researching a lot of Christopher Reeves, and I was also implementing aquatic therapy. That's why I would make sure they put me in the pool all the time. I was always in the pool, and I was always, learning. And then all of a sudden, I started getting some movement here and there. And that's how it happened, man. And I no pain pills, a lot of, I have to take a medicine called baclofen. You know what baclofen is, Doc?
I've heard of it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a muscle relaxer because because my spine caused permanent nerve damage in my spine. So it sometimes you get these let you shake. You get these legs and they shake a little bit. Because your butt, like even at night, like you get like a flexation with your legs, you flex and stuff, and you get these like little tremors, because the nerves are all damaged. So I take the baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, which calms that down, and then I'm able to work out. I got my Chuck Norris machine, I do light martial arts, I do jujitsu light and stuff like that, so everything they said that I would never do again, I'm doing.
Excellent.
Yeah. So exactly. And it's been 6 years now.
So here's a good start.
Yeah. I went from a wheelchair to a walker and then to a cane. Then I regained my bowel functions again, which they were amazed that I regained my bowels and stuff. Cause and that was it. And it just came back. Hey, it was a miracle, no doubt. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful. And I thank every day. Out of all the people on this planet, that were a lot better people than me that are, sitting in a wheelchair, this guy right here walked again, so
Good job.
I'm very grateful every day. I don't care I don't care what anybody says. You can't bring me down.
Good job. You got a great personality through all this.
Well, thank you, Tony.
You make videos that are hilarious. You come up. You're always in a good mood. At your worst point during this whole situation, were you able to keep up with the personality and high hopes, or did you have some days?
No, not at first. I had a battle with God for a couple months, and I was on a mission to destroy myself because I wasn't going to be able. I couldn't move. I couldn't get up to do anything. I was wearing a diaper. They had a catheter. I had to pee in a bag. It was very humiliating. But I'll tell you what, every person in their life should experience it because it really brings you back. Like to me, it just everything from that point forward, when I decided to stop trying to destroy myself and all that and kill myself, every day after that, it was just, you know what? I'm going to walk again. I'm going to smile every effing day. I don't give a shit. And I'm just going to keep driving forward. And I just put it in my mind. You either get up off this wheelchair or you're going to die. It's it. I just said to myself, there's only two ways. I'm either going to walk again or I'm going to be dead. And I
Let me
just
ask you one question.
Shoot.
So let me ask you like this.
Yeah.
Do you remember the day you turned it around and said, fuck it, I'm going to make this work?
Yeah, I do remember.
Tell us about that real quick, could you?
Well, it's a very personal story, but
Then don't tell us about it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's very personal, but yeah.
I'm sorry
it was
about that.
Yeah, it was very spiritual. I had a spiritual awakening of sorts. It was like I had basically a fist fight with God, and I was trying to knock him out. I was trying to beat him, and it was remind me of the what was it, the story the angel that who was the angel, name of the angel that challenged God, and he hit his hip, he broke his hip. I bet you Edwin knows.
I remember the night before I had my last neck surgery, I was on your show.
Okay.
And we didn't have many people. We had the medic lady, remember her?
Yeah, sure.
And we were all talking about neck injuries, and I said, fuck it. I said, if they could all get through it, it's no big deal again.
Exactly.
So I did Angel's show earlier in the night, and then I was on your show. I couldn't sleep. I'm sitting in the hospital, and they're ready to cut my spine open. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. I'm a big subscriber in something called Stockton's Dilemma. It's I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Doc. Stockton's Dilemma. It's a famous Navy admiral that got the Medal of Honor in Vietnam. He was in Hanoi Hilton. He was tortured. He was beaten. All this stuff. Admiral Stockton. He ran for vice president with Ross.
Oh yes, Perot. I know you're talking about. He did.
Yeah, remember? Yes. Okay. Well, he wrote.
Who am I and what am I doing here?
Who am I and why am I here? Exactly. Right. And he was he wrote a book, and it was called Stockton's Dilemma. I know it's not gonna be easy. It's going to be painful. It's going to bring you to the brink where you want to die, quit, whatever. But you're going to get through it. Just like when he was like, you're going to get through it. You got to keep talking to yourself. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Every little step is monumentous. Every movement is monumentous, but you're going to get through it. It's going to be tough. Don't fool yourself. It's going to be tough. The hardest thing you ever did, but you're going to survive. And I read a lot of that stuff. So
good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Pat.
That's okay. There's sometimes people don't understand about the family members that have to make decisions sometimes with doctors.
Let me interrupt you. Wise Guy TV, how are you, Pat? He said it was Jacob's hip that God popped.
Jacob, yes. When Jacob wrestled with God, yes. That's exactly what the story was like. Exactly. That's exactly what happened, basically. That's what I tried to do.
Good. All right. So there's a football player. There was a football player named Alex Smith. He was a quarterback, okay? And he went from the Chiefs to the Washington Redskins at the time. And he popped a knee, like every other football injury. Guys get hurt, they pop their knee. They did the surgery, and his leg turned black. And they didn't know what they were dealing with. They actually, they brought in a military team from San Antonio, which is like, where he actually moved there for 6 months afterwards, just after the final surgeries. They got to a point where they grabbed the wife and they said, look, you got to make a decision that when he wakes up, he's either going to not have a leg and never play football again, or, we can give it a shot, but we don't think he's going to make it through surgery. So what happened was the wife, and it's on YouTube, the Alex Smith story. And the wife says, listen, I just want my husband to cut his leg off. That was exactly what she said in the documentary. So what happened was something happened during the night, and the nurse said that color started fading. That's how much they were watching this guy. He was the famous athlete. He was brought there right from a game. So they got there in the morning, and they said, okay, look, we can save the leg, but he might walk with the aid of a crutch, a cane, but he'll never run. He'll never do anything again. They had 2 little babies. She said, we can only do it with this one surgery. She said, F it, do it. So they did this surgery, and a couple of years ago, he started on Monday Night Football again.
How about that?
Take his leg off.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, I think I heard something about this. Yes, now that you're refreshing my memory about this, I think I saw a little story on this.
I think he played for the Chiefs as well.
Right. He started for the Chiefs. He was the #1 pick overall. Mr. X is saying too that injury was bad and he came back to play. You're absolutely right. But what a tear-jerking documentary. I mean, because he's a young wife. She's 25, 26 years old. She's got 2 little babies, and they come in there. Your husband was on the football field, and we might have to cut his leg off, and he's not even awake or anything. He was out of it. He was basically in a self-induced coma because of the condition infection. And believe it or not, he came back and started on a Monday Night Football game.
That's very true.
You know,
I
a lot
thought
of
that was
people
wild.
die from infections they get in the hospital. You know that.
Yeah.
The longer
absolutely.
you stay there, the worse it is for you.
Yeah. That's true.
That's right. It's a bad place to be. Too many sick people there, right? It's very true. They usually get the septus. And that drug that Sailor was talking about started with a B. I'm looking at the picture of my former business partner, and he had PLS, primary lateral sclerosis, which was a form of Lou Gehrig's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on that exact prescription, the drug that you just mentioned.
Did he have a pump? Some of those guys get pumps implanted.
I don't think he had a pump, but his body was so stiff. So he was on those muscle relaxers.
Yes,
Flexerol,
that's what happens.
Flexerol and that one.
Flexerol.
That you mentioned. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I'll give you a quick one too. You know, thanks to the new advancements in medicine, doctors can now give you intravenous antibiotic in the office. It looks just like you're getting it in the hospital, but you sit in like a meditation room and they do it. A lot of the doctors down here do it, like in these fancy places. So when I had surgery in 4 weeks ago, they didn't realize I had an infection in my leg the whole time.
Whoa.
Okay, and they kept treating it with regular antibiotic, and I had a Band-Aid on it the day I went into surgery, or they would have never did the surgery. We sat down and talked to the doctors last week, and I sent you a picture from the lab where I was getting the bag, Angel, the intravenous bag.
Yeah.
And what happens is I've been getting this treatment every week because it was just missing being a staph infection.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it was my legs were all swollen with fluid and everything. And I'm like, wow, my legs are stiff, my legs hurt, and I had a horrible, horrible infection.
Look what happened to the MMA fighter recently. He had a double lung transplant because he got staph infection and it went to his lung.
Who did?
I forget it. Oh, man.
Were talking about
Ben Askren. Ben Askren. That's his name. Ben
Wasn't he the
Askren.
one that was wasn't he the guy going to be partners with Hulk Hogan in American Beer?
Yes, I think so. I think he was an investor in that. Yes.
Jim brought it up. We were talking about it one night here. Yeah.
Yep. It caused it went into his lungs, and they had to completely transplant both of his lungs. You know, and he's really lucky to be alive. He's doing TikTok, Instagram videos of his recovery. Man, he looks wow, but at least he's alive.
Yeah, Andrew, you remember that night we were talking about the guy that Hulk Hogan's partner was in bad shape too? They couldn't even find him. He was getting treatment somewhere else.
Who was that?
This gentleman, Ben, was partners with Hulk Hogan when he passed away in the new beer company.
Oh.
And we were talking about it on the show one night. This show. So yeah, Sally, he's doing a little bit better now, huh?
Yeah, he's doing much better. I know as soon as he got out, they had him like he's doing it on the exercise bike, but he's got the oxygen, mask on and stuff, and he's trying to get his legs stronger and stuff. But yeah, and then he had to go back in the hospital again for a couple days because something happened, and then they let him out again recently, and he's recovering. He's doing well, and yeah, he was he's been reading a lot of the same stuff that I was looking to read and research when I was in that predicament where it was like, am I ever going to walk again?
Well, hold on 1 minute. Why is Cheryl DeTilio getting blocked? Cheryl, she's not saying anything wrong. Why is she getting blocked? Oh, she was unhidden. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good, sir.
Oh, no, just about Ben Askren. He's the miracle. He's coming back, that he's able to live through that, because that's a double lung transplant. That's wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he was basically given no chance.
No
right
chance.
Right around the time Hulk Hogan died, they said he
Yep.
was next within days.
Yep.
Wow.
But the advancement of medicine is just amazing. What they can come up with today. Listen, let's be realistic. And let's not say Jimmy Carter because he lasted till 100 years old or whatever he was. What sitting president ever got to the final stages of cancer?
What sitting president? You mean died from cancer or?
Even had final stages of cancer.
Oh, even had cancer. Well, supposedly Biden has cancer, stage 4. That's what they said, right? Prostate cancer or something.
I think that's a cover up for him just being horrible, but you never know. But
It could
explain
be.
to me how men that age have never had any really public cancers, because there's treatments for a lot of things too that was never brought out to the out and open before.
Well, if you have money, you could go to and to experimental treatments and things like that. You remember the movie Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey, and he was
I sure
getting,
do.
yeah, he was getting the good age drugs in Mexico because they wouldn't allow it to be released in America. So he went down there, and they were taking those drugs, and they were better, and now those drugs are like common for everybody, so that has that. So I mean, sometimes people, you got to do what you got to do. I was researching going to Colombia, getting stem cells in my spine, because here in America they can only give you so much. There's only a certain amount they can give you, but there they can give you, as much as they want. So because laws here prevent them from using so much, and so I was looking at that was like 20 grand, something like that, to go down there and have that done. They do it in Asia too. So I was looking into all that too.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows the Magic Johnson story.
Yeah.
Go back to when Magic Johnson was first diagnosed that he had the HIV virus. He was pretty much, he even had the markings, if you look closely, on his face at the press conference when he announced his retirement. He went to, I believe, I'm not sure exactly. I know he went to Italy.
He went to Europe. Where he fled over there and started taking those drugs before they were approved here over in Europe, where the other actor went, but he was to Rock Hudson, where he tried to go to France, where that doctor was one that created or patented or whatever was credited.
You're right.
Yep.
He had the main treatment in France, and then he had another treatment in Italy with some kind of water and a mixture in water, and he bathed there every day for months on end when he was out of sight, and everybody thought, oh, he must be really sick. When he showed up at the All-Star game, Sal, I don't know if you remember, he looked like a half a bodybuilder that night. That's how big he got all of a sudden.
I remember him getting diagnosed thinking, wow, he's going to die soon. I remember thinking like that, because back then anybody that got that was a goner.
Right. And money can buy you anything. Look at what he's doing now.
They
can barely, if they find a trace of it in his blood any longer.
Yeah, I heard he's, what do you call it? They can't even, if they do a test, he's a negative.
Right. He shows that he does not have HIV.
Yep. Tommy Morrison too. That whole thing with him. Remember that, Tony?
Yeah, he went down to 125 pounds. Though.
Yeah, he actually didn't believe he had it, but he really did. And he wouldn't take medicine, right?
He didn't take any medication.
Yeah.
Yep.
He
went down 125 pounds and died. I mean, there's all kinds of medicines these athletes will take too. Look at Lyle Alzado. That guy went up to 290 pounds of rock solidness, and within a year, he was down to 120 pounds.
Yeah, cancer, brain cancer, I think, right? Him?
I think he had more than that. It ate his whole body apart. They said it was brain cancer, but I don't know how you lose almost 200 pounds.
Are you coming in?
He was also taking a lot of steroids too most of his life. So
they said he was taking basically a gorilla hormone. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm only going by what I was reading. But they said there was not a steroid he would turn away from. Because you remember, he played in Cleveland, and he started getting a little bit older, and his career was basically winding down. So he went out and seen the owner of the Raiders, and he was all juiced up. And he goes, listen, I promise you we'll win a championship or something. He goes, and we'll probably hurt a lot of people too. So Al Davis, the owner of the Raiders, loved hearing that. He says, "Come on down, start practicing next week or something." And he came in. I mean, this guy was ripping people's helmets off their heads and throwing them at him.
Yeah, he was really something to watch. I remember seeing him as a kid.
That last couple of years he played with the Raiders, he was vicious. You know, he was a vicious guy before the steroids. Imagine him all double juiced up. But you know, and then they don't know they're hurt half the time. But then you take like HGH. That's a miracle drug, HGH. Did they ever try and give you that, Sally?
No, I never took that. HGH. No, I never took that. I don't know about that stuff. I don't. It's like a growth hormone, right? I don't want to look like Andre the Giant. I don't want to.
No. It's a growth hormone without making you huge. What it is it basically helps you recover so much faster and better. And listen, it's recommended, but it's illegal in sports. You're not allowed to take anything with a steroid in it. But it is recommended in a lot of anti-aging clinics.
Okay. Oh, that's probably what Stallone does then. All those guys do that.
Oh, he's big into it. Yeah, he's big into it.
Yeah, okay. HGH. Okay.
Stallone is huge into it. Schwarzenegger, when he had the kidney problems, went on it. The wrestler Brock Lesnar went on it when his kidneys were failing.
Oh, he went on a lot of stuff. That guy, rocket fuel, he's on.
Yeah, but he had to really go healthy when he got sick that time. When he was fighting in the UFC, they thought he was going to die.
That's okay, Rainbow Mel. I
mean, I remember that he had a stomach issue, right?
That's okay.
Right, and it ended up being kidneys to the intestines or something. And he went on it when he was recovering. Look at the way he came back. I mean, but if you go see these anti-aging doctors like Stallone, they all recommend HGH. There's just a lot more medicines today for people than there was years ago.
Oh yeah, they're making the advancements, just like the brain chip, the DBS. You know, that's like I said. I think that's the way going forward. If people want it, I mean, it was just amazing what what that stuff can do. Now, of course, it could be used for evil too. We all know that it's a slippery slope. But to save a person's life who can't stop sticking a needle in their arm, and they're to the point where they're out there on Kensington and they're walking around with the living dead. Those people right there should get it. They should, right there. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Stone Sale, I'm sorry. There's a question for you.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Cheryl asks, Sailor, I am born and raised in South Philly. Do you remember when Holmesburg,
it's a prison, yeah.
When the warden and deputy warden in the war killed.
Yeah,
and they named the CF after them.
Yeah, they named one of the prisons after the warden and the deputy warden got killed. It was in one of those riots in Holmesburg. Bad place. Definitely bad place.
How does a warden and deputy warden get killed in a prison? Aren't they like secluded away from?
Well, with like in a penitentiary, you're not going to see the warden walking around while, first of all, the inmates are locked down a lot and stuff like that. But if they are being let out, like on the yard, or they're walking the compound, you're not going to see the warden walking there, by themselves, just walking around. If they do come out, they're going to have 4 or 5 officers with them at all times. If they have to go down to, let's say, special housing, because I think it's the captain has to come by once a week, and the warden has to come by once a month. They have to do rounds in special housing. They got to walk down, see every inmate, make sure that if I put a cop out in and I put a complaint in and they're not getting back to me, he's supposed to write it down. Of course, he tells the captain to do it, but they do a walkthrough like that. And usually they do that if the inmates are locked down or if they're, they're in special housing. Now that's a pen. Now you go to the medium, you go to the low. Yes, but the warden will always have security with him. He's not going to be walking by himself. He'll always have, 2 officers with him and the captain, and they'll walk down to look at a unit or maybe give an employee an award or do something like that. They'll come on the compound. We'll know that he's there. Of course, everyone has a panic button on their radio if there's an issue. But you'll see him more in low securities, but not high securities, not while they're walking around. They're all locked in. The warden will do a walkthrough. And you walk by every cell, look in the window, and do all that. Every once in a while, wardens do that because you have assistant wardens and deputy wardens and captains that should be doing that job. The warden just has to do it once every month, I believe, or maybe every quarter, just like to check a block, saying that he went down and talked to everybody.
Wow. Joe, Rainbow Melon. Joe is also on YouTube. I watch his videos. I love. He's building Teresa's father's house in Italy. I love watching that.
Joe who? Joe.
Joe, Teresa, Judice, Joe.
That's right. He's in Italy. That's right.
Yeah. Well, he goes back and forth between Italy and the Bahamas, but I love when. And then he had his mom come to the Bahamas. She brought like suitcases of food from here, from the United States.
Yeah.
Italy. You had to see all the stuff she brought him. Oh, I didn't think she was going to fit that in her refrigerator and freezer. And then they did cooking. It was interesting. I like that.
Is she still married to him?
No, not her. His mother.
Oh, his mother. But they're not married anymore, right?
No, they're not married. She's remarried. Yeah,
she is? Okay.
Yeah. Very interesting. I love following Joe because he goes back and forth between Italy and the Bahamas.
Yeah, he's not allowed back in the U.S.
Yeah, he's not. I think he put it in for Trump, but I don't know. I mean, he has kids here. It's like, I can't believe I'll
tell you what, Trump is very responsive to people. I mean, there's people that send him messages on what is this, his own platform? I forget the name of it. I don't.
Truth
Social. Truth Social. There are people, like everyday people, that would send him a message every once in a while. He'll respond.
Wow.
Yeah, he's more, I think, approachable than any other president. I mean, people go on Twitter or on Truth Social and start a poll or a petition, and if it gets so many thousand, he'll actually answer it. He'll give them an answer.
Yeah, because he's a people person.
Yes.
And
he's not a politician. No way. Thank God. We don't need any more politicians. That's why we're in this mess.
And I tell you what, I think there's a lot more people that he would have pardoned if it wouldn't have caused such an uproar with other people, because there was a lot that he had on his desk, and he said, just can't do it.
Especially at the last minute, they were trying to impeach him again, everything. And I think this time, though, I think he's he don't give a crap. If he feels you deserve a pardon or there's some, look, he let the Chrisleys out.
That's changed back on the air, by the way.
They're back on now. Yeah,
I had to get the Lifetime channel so my mother could watch that again.
Yeah, they're back. He pardoned him and his wife.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite channels on YouTube. Is the one with him and his wife, and they are talking about the prison when they went to prison, and he had such a if when you hear him. It was like he was at a country club having a ball. Her, not so much.
I'm sure it was rough for her.
For her, it was. For him, it wasn't.
He was in minimum security. It wasn't like he was at a pen. I mean, but and at those places that he was at in a medium or a low, I mean, unless you're like on someone's bad side or you got really bad charges or you incur a lot of debt from drugs or gambling. I mean, other than that, you're pretty much just do your time and mind your business and, don't look for things. And most of the time it won't come your way. He was high profile. They knew he had money or some money or whatever. So I'm sure he spread it out a little bit to some people in there to make sure that he was, he was able to go be safe. I mean, that happens all the time.
You know what I like about him is that he is not forgetting about the people that are there. He's not forgetting about the people he served time with. He's going after the bad prison guards and stuff. He's going after the staff. He's bringing awareness to what goes on in prison. I like that about him.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he had to go through that, you know, and just
Yeah.
like me being paralyzed, sometimes that's a good thing when to get humbled. It's okay to get your teeth kicked in, and you got to get back up and spit the blood out and just keep going forward. You know, it builds character.
You know what it is too with him? He's the type
I
of guy.
love it.
He's
It's
the
my
type of
favorite
guy.
podcast on here. I'm sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
No,
It's
no,
my
go ahead.
favorite.
He's the type of guy who he don't care if you tell him, go away, Todd. We don't want to talk to you. No, you're gonna listen to me. He's the type of guy, and you know what? He wins them over. And you know, he got along just fine towards the end of his prison stay. He was making friends with everybody.
Yeah, I could see that. He's a very pleasant guy. He's very he's you know, he's kind of charismatic. He's you know, he comes across very sincere country guy, like a good old country guy, you know, with manners, a Southern gentleman with manners, and he's funny too.
He's very funny.
Yeah, that always helps. If you're funny, you could get out of a lot of shit. Trust me, I know.
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he a Marine?
Not Todd. No. Todd wasn't a Marine.
Are you sure?
I don't believe so. I've never. Maybe if I'm wrong, then
Let me
look it up, Tony. I don't know about that.
His mother is
His mother was hysterical.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember it. She's still around, right? She's still
alive. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad she got to see those two come home.
Me too.
Because she would have died. What did he get? 12? What did they get? 15 years or something? 18 years?
They got 12 years, right?
Yeah.
What happened, Dr. Jim?
I thought they got 12 years, and President Trump said it was unfair. No one does 12 years for what they did.
Exactly. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And like I said, my mother's like 100 years old. She's like this on the television, 2 inches away from it, watching this show.
Hi, Mom.
Likes that show, Dr. Jim? Your mom likes that show, The Grizzlies?
Oh, I had to add the Lifetime channel, right? That's what it's on. I had to add it when they're coming out of prison. Please put the Lifetime channel on there for me. I said, okay. So she's watching that.
So she's watching all the reruns. I don't
know.
No,
they're the new show, she said. I don't know.
There's new shows.
Yeah, there's a new. They're doing
a new one.
Yeah, there's a new one now. He's doing a YouTube channel.
I knew that they were doing it, but I didn't know it started.
Yeah, they're on Lifetime. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.